Chapter 516. Mu Nanji, who was in the room next door, did not sleep at all. Although the soundproofing effect of the small door was not bad, some sounds could still be faintly heard, perhaps because the movement was too loud. How could she sleep peacefully then? Mu Nanji quickly got up when she heard the door open. She saw Bien Suin carrying Xiao Wanwan into the room. Xiao Wanwan's eyes were tightly shut. Her face was pale and rosy. Even though she was asleep, her brows were still knitted. It was obvious that she had suffered a lot. Mu Nanji could not help but remember that she had cursed Xiao Wanwan once, saying that she would get her retribution sooner or later. Who would have thought that her retribution would come so quickly? Is this what they mean by harm will come to you eventually? Mu Nanji thought bitterly. Bien Suin put Xiao Wanwan on the ground and shook her roughly. Xiao Wanwan opened her eyes slowly, looking very tired. She saw her rival, Bien Suin. She raised her weak hand, but it was stopped by Bien Suin. I didn't expect this day to come. Bien Suin smiled gloatingly. She took out her phone and waved it in front of Xiao Wanwan. Now that I have something on you, do you want to make a deal? Xiao Wanwan snorted coldly. Of course, she knew that Bien Suin was lying, but she did not want to expose her. Otherwise, her identity as the patriarch might be exposed. After thinking for a while, she decided not to answer. You don't want to make a deal? Then we'll both keep it. But I'm warning you, if the video about Nanji gets leaked, the video about you will be leaked as well. Do you understand? Bien Suin was a little guilty, but she still threatened Xiao Wanwan. Xiao Wanwan did not say anything. Bien Suin was lying, and so was she. Both of them did not have anything on each other, so it was not a bad idea to go along with Bien Suin's plan. Xiao Wanwan ignored Bien Suin and looked at Mu Nanji. Let's call it quits. Mu Nanji frowned. She could not get back what she had lost. How could she call it quits? Although she minded, Xiao Wanwan paid the price, and she didn't have to worry about that secret being exposed. However, Mu Nanji had a feeling that Xiao Wanwan did not have the kind of disappointment and sadness that one would feel after losing something very important. Compared to her breakdown back then, Xiao Wanwan looked much better. Mu Nanji felt a little indignant, but she could not do anything to Xiao Wanwan. After all, she didn't want to kill him back then. Let her go, Suin, Mu Nanji said. Bien Suin nodded and released the restrictions on Xiao Wanwan. When Xiao Wanwan regained her freedom, she immediately got up from the cold floor, but her movement was a little too big. She couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air, and her frown deepened. Do you want me to prescribe you some medicine? I can give you a discount. Bien Suin teased with a smile. Xiao Wanwan glared at her fiercely. No need. Although she mainly studied poison, she still knew a little about medicine. She could solve this problem by herself. Xiao Wanwan struggled to get up and walked out of the room slowly. Along the way, she felt a little disappointed because she had lost something, but she did not find it hard to accept. The patriarch was such a powerful figure, and he was willing to lower himself to cure her. What was there for her to complain about? To a certain extent, this should be her honor. Am I considered half a Madam Sect leader now? Xiao Wanwan could not help but have this thought, but it was extinguished after a few seconds. This was because she felt that it was a little too whimsical. The patriarch was a devil who killed without batting an eyelid. How could he have feelings? She could not help but feel a little disappointed when she thought about this. On the other side, after Xiao Wanwan left, Bien Suin suddenly said to Mu Nanji, "My boyfriend is next door. He's sleeping like a log right now. Aren't you curious about what my boyfriend looks like? Do you want to sneak a peek?" "I don't think so. I'm afraid that I'll see something I shouldn't see. You'll be jealous." Mu Nanji did not know whether to laugh or cry. Why would I be? If it were someone else, I might be a little jealous, but we're good sisters. I'm not that petty, Bien Suin joked. I have a boyfriend too. I don't want to see your boyfriend. Why don't you introduce him to me on a formal occasion? Mu Nanji refused. All right then. Bien Suin shrugged. Naturally, she would not force it. She went to the room next door through the small door and quickly cleaned up the mess around the room. Speaking of which, she was mainly cleaning up the fallen plum on the bed. After she was done, Bien Suin went to Wang Haoran's side and unsealed his sleeping acupoint. However, Wang Haoran still did not wake up. Bien Suin chuckled. She pinched a lock of her hair and scratched his nose. Wang Haoran scratched his nose. Then, he pretended that he had been woken up and opened his sleepy eyes. "You're awake." Bien Suen smiled at him in high spirits. However, she still felt a little sour in her heart. After all, she had borrowed her boyfriend. She felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. However, when she thought of Xiao Wanwan's pitiful appearance, the sour feeling eased a lot. "You're up so early." Wang Haoran seemed to be in a daze. "Yeah." Bien Suen nodded and blinked her big eyes. "See, am I right? I've really recovered." What she meant was that she wanted to remind him about what happened last night. The ingredients in the wine had the effect of making people dizzy and hallucinogenic. She was sure that Wang Haoran could not remember what happened last night. At most, he could only vaguely feel it. She said that because she wanted to let Wang Haoran think that she was the one beside him all the time. "You've recovered, but I still feel a little dizzy." Wang Haoran rubbed his temples. He seemed to be a little uncomfortable. Bien Suen immediately realized that the effect of the medicine might not be completely gone yet. "Maybe you're too tired." "It's normal," Bien Suen explained. Then, she stretched out her hand and said, "Let me massage your head. You'll be fine." After a while, Wang Haoran pretended to be excited. "Much better. That's good." Bien Suen secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at the time and said, "You're up. Let's go and have breakfast." Wang Haoran looked out of the window. The sky was still dark. "It's just daybreak. Isn't it a little too early to have breakfast?" As he spoke, he gave Bien Suen a strange look. Bien Suen was stunned for a while. She understood and was a little tempted. However, she remembered that her good friend was still next door. "Forget it if you don't want to go. I'm going to have breakfast. I have an appointment with a patient in the morning." After saying that, she wanted to run away. Wang Haoran was secretly angry. "She wants to run away after scheming against me? How can there be such a good thing? If I don't take revenge secretly, I won't be able to calm down." Chapter 517. In a ward of the hospital's anorectal department, Ling Nanshu had changed out of his hospital gown into his usual clothes and was packing up his daily necessities. A moment later, a burly man walked in with a few pieces of paper. "The discharge procedures are done. You can leave now." Then, she stepped forward and took the bag of daily necessities from Ling Nanshu's hands. She said with a tender expression, "Let me do the heavy lifting." Ling Nanshu's expression was complicated. During the time he was hospitalized, it was this burly man who took care of him meticulously. Ling Nanshu had been jealous of him, but after spending some time with him, his jealousy had gradually dissipated. He even felt an inexplicable sense of dependence on him. Ling Nanshu knew that something was wrong and wanted to get rid of this feeling. After calming himself down, his gaze became resolute. "Zhao Taizhu, you owe me this." "I won't be grateful," Ling Nanshu said coldly. During this period of time, he already knew the name of this metal tower like Muscular Man. This name was very old-fashioned, but it was filled with a masculine aura. Of course, this was just Ling Nanshu's opinion. Zhao Taizhu led Ling Nanshu out of the hospital and into a small car. "Nanshu, are you going home or to school?" Zhao Taizhu asked after getting into the car. "School." Ling Nanshu spat out these words coldly. "Okay." Zhao Taizhu agreed happily and started the car. Ling Nanshu sat in the back seat of the car. He was a little dazed by what had happened recently. He made up his mind not to see Zhao Taizhu again after today. Ling Nanshu felt that if he continued to interact with Zhao Taizhu, his mind would be completely distorted. "I'm a man. I should like women." Ling Nanshu continued to brainwash himself. Suddenly, he felt the car come to a stop. Ling Nanshu snapped out of his reverie and looked out of the car window. He realized that the car had not stopped at the school gate, but at a secluded area in the suburbs. He retracted his gaze and looked at Zhao Taizhu, who was in the driver's seat. He saw that Zhao Taizhu was looking at him covetously. Ling Nanshu felt that something was amiss. He wanted to open the car door and escape, but he didn't know if it was because he was nervous or because he had been hospitalized for a long time. But he was weak. He didn't even have the strength to lift his feet. Not long after, a black figure gradually grew larger in Ling Nanshu's eyes. The man's hot breath hit her face. This time, Ling Nanshu did not feel afraid. Instead, he felt a strange sense of anticipation. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing the protagonist Ling Nanshu's orientation to deviate greatly. Obtained 2,400 villain points. Ling Nanshu's protagonist aura minus 120. The host's villain aura plus 120. Wang Haoran. A car stopped at the entrance of the Academy of Arts. Ling Nanshu got out of the car. Nanshu, I'll look for you when I'm free. Zhao Taizhu gave Ling Nanshu a charming look. Ling Nanshu really wanted to tell Zhao Taizhu to scram as far as he could from now on. However, he couldn't bring himself to say it. While he was hesitating, Zhao Taizhu had already driven away. Ling Nanshu watched until the car disappeared from his sight. Then, he slowly retracted his gaze. He put his hand into his trouser pocket and took out a cash check from a bag. This cash check had a limit of 1 million yuan. It had been given to him by Zhao Taizhu. Ling Nanshu stared at the string of numbers on the check in a daze. He was a little dazed. His family wasn't very well off. In order to pay for his tuition at the Academy of Arts, his family had almost emptied their pockets. With this 1 million yuan, he could improve his family's living conditions and let his family live a better life. Moreover, this 1 million yuan was just the beginning. This was because Zhao Taizhu had said that as long as he was obedient, he would have an endless amount of money to spend in the future. Ling Nanshu's strange dependence on Zhao Taizhu and his psychological changes, as well as his desire to let his family live a good life, made him accept the check. A voice in Ling Nanshu's heart told him that once he used this money, there would be no turning back. He would sink deeper and deeper. Another voice told him that it was 1 million yuan. It would be a waste not to take it. Anyway, it had already happened. What difference did it make if he did it once, twice, or even more times? Haven't you seen how the pretty girls in the Academy of Arts are racking their brains to find a sugar daddy? What about you? You're a man, but you're able to obtain excellent conditions that put those pretty girls to shame. What else are you not satisfied with? The two voices in Ling Nanshu's heart started arguing. In the end, the second voice took over. Since he had already suffered, he might as well earn more money. Once he had earned enough money, he could completely get rid of Zhao Taizhu. Wouldn't that be enough? Even if he couldn't get rid of him, he could still have his own life. There were so many pretty girls in the Academy of Arts. In the past, he hadn't dared to have any thoughts about them because he had no money. However, things were different now. With 1 million yuan in his hand, wouldn't it be easy for him to woo the girls in the Academy of Arts? Ling Nanshu comforted himself in his heart, trying to make himself feel more at ease. He took a deep breath and walked toward the campus. On the way, he met a few girls who were dressed to the nines. Ling Nanshu kept looking at them, but for some reason, he didn't feel the joy he usually felt when he saw beautiful girls. Instead, he felt an inexplicable sense of jealousy and envy. As a man, he shouldn't have this kind of mentality. This was completely the mentality of a woman. Ling Nanshu felt a chill run down his spine. He really wanted to get rid of this mentality, but it seemed like it wouldn't go away. Wang Haoran arrived at school for class. During class, he received a call from Zhuqiu Chinyu. I've done as you said. My underling has already given Ling Nanshu the 1 million yuan. Ling Nanshu has also accepted it, Zhuqiu Chinyu reported. This outcome was completely within his expectations, so Wang Haoran wasn't surprised. Well done. After praising her, Wang Haoran continued. Reward the underling who wooed Ling Nanshu with 1 million yuan. Also, tell him that if he can persuade Ling Nanshu to undergo sex change surgery, there will be an additional grand prize. You're really generous, Zhuqiu Chinyu said in surprise. Why? Do you feel bad for my money? Wang Haoran smiled. He really didn't care about a few million yuan. The main thing was that he wanted to make this cross-dresser a woman. The money is yours. You can spend it however you want. I'm just an old woman who isn't favored. How would I dare to tell you what to do? Wang Haoran could smell the strong scent of jealousy through the phone. Chapter 518. Speaking of which, ever since he had established a relationship with Zhuqiu Chinyu, he had been ignoring her. He had not even had a meal with her once. It was no wonder she was so upset. Wang Haoran felt a little apologetic. After all, he was always ordering her around. He had to at least comfort her appropriately. With that in mind, Wang Haoren spoke. If I remember correctly, you still owe me a bet, right? It's already been a few months. You still remember? Zuiqiu Chenyu said bitterly. Are you free? Wang Haoren asked. Even if I'm not free, I'll squeeze some time out. But you're a busy person. Are you free? Zuiqiu Chenyu rejoiced. She could not help but look forward to it. Send me your address. I'll come find you. Wang Haoren hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Ring, ring, ring. The bell for class suddenly rang. The other students returned to their classrooms. Wang Haoren went straight to Lu Yu's office. He arrived outside the office and pushed the door open. Lu Yu was bent over her desk, looking at something. When she heard the commotion, she did not need to raise her head to know that Wang Haoren had arrived. This was because only this guy would enter her office without knocking. However, Lu Yu could not help but panic. Are you crazy? Coming at this hour? You really don't care about my reputation. Lu Yu reprimanded him angrily. Then, she suddenly felt that it was no big deal. Since he was already here, she said, forget it. Lock the door. After she finished speaking, she suddenly stood up from her seat and walked a few steps to the side. Without the cover of the desk, a pair of long, straight legs appeared in front of him. Wavy hair, a skin-tight skirt, stockings, and long legs. It was the standard three-piece outfit of a mature woman. However, Wang Haoren was not here to chat with Lu Yu. Professor Lu, I want to take a leave of absence. Wang Haoren looked serious. Lu Yu was stunned and felt a little awkward. She glared at Wang Haoren and sat back on her chair. She put on airs and said, Why are you always on leave? Where are you going? My dad is sick. I'm going over to see him. Wang Haoren said seriously. Lu Yu originally wanted to make things difficult for him, but after hearing this, her expression changed. Is Uncle sick? Then you should go. I'll help you apply for leave. Also, help me say hi to Uncle. Halfway through, she realized that she was not the main person, so she could only change her words. Say hi to Uncle for seventh sister. Thank you, Professor Lu. Goodbye, Professor Lu. Wang Haoren waved and left the office. Not long after Wang Haoren left, there was another knock on the office door. It was Lin Mo. Professor Lu. Is there any change in my teaching? Lin Mo asked expectantly. I haven't convinced Wang Haoren yet, so I can't let you teach for now. Lu Yu replied and drew a big picture. Don't worry, there will be a time when I let you teach. None of my graduate students can't even be a mentor. Seeing Lu Yu's serious expression, Lin Mo believed her and said gratefully, Thank you, Professor Lu. It's part of my job. Lu Yu said lightly. Seeing that Lu Yu needed to work, Lin Mo didn't want to disturb her any longer. After saying goodbye, he turned and left the office. Lin Mo looked a little troubled. Although Lu Yu agreed, she didn't give him a specific time. She didn't know when she would be able to teach students. He was quite eager to give a lecture, because he recently realized that there was something wrong with his body. At first, he thought that it was because he wasn't feeling well, so he didn't have any energy. However, after watching the movie for more than 10 minutes, he didn't feel anything at all. It was obvious that there was something wrong with his body. However, Lin Mo didn't think that he was plotted against. Instead, he thought that it was because his body was too weak. After all, when he transmigrated, this body had shown signs of sudden death. With such a weak body, it was understandable that there was something wrong with it. After Lin Mo found out about this, he naturally wanted to change it as soon as possible. However, his first thought wasn't to go to the hospital for treatment. It was too embarrassing to go to the hospital for this kind of illness. Moreover, the hospital might not be able to cure him. It would cost a lot of money. His system could use recognition points to improve his body's fitness, and one of them was a male ability. At this moment, this ability was negative. If he had enough recognition points, he could directly adjust this ability to a positive one. At that time, the ability would naturally be restored. The higher the value, the stronger the ability. However, this required a lot of recognition points. During this period, Lin Mo had worked hard to accumulate some, but it wasn't enough to adjust the negative value of that ability to a positive one. Teaching was undoubtedly the fastest way to increase recognition points, but the current conditions didn't allow it. Playing basketball was a way to show off his skills. However, Because of the embarrassing incident on the basketball court last time, Lin Mo attracted a lot of attention when he arrived at the basketball court. When Lin Mo heard those voices, he only felt uncomfortable all over. He couldn't show off his skills at all. Of course, the main reason was that Lu Hua and the others from Class 113 were causing trouble. Lin Mo had given up on the idea of showing off his basketball skills to gain recognition. Lin Mo communicated with the system and saw the recognition points that he had painstakingly accumulated. He immediately made a decision. He wouldn't use these recognition points to improve his body first. He would use these recognition points to make an investment. Simply put, it was to exchange for an ability, then use this ability to show off and gain recognition points. Lin Mo checked the system store and quickly found a master-level piano skill. His current recognition points were enough to exchange for this ability. Lin Mo did not hesitate to exchange for it. There was a music department in Qingling University, and there was a famous goddess-level professor in it. Naturally, part of the reason why Lin Mo exchanged for this ability was to get close to this goddess-level professor in the music department. It was afternoon, and it was leisure time. The students didn't have to go to class. It was a good opportunity to show off. Lin Mo excitedly went to the music department building. In the music department building, the sound of students playing instruments could be heard, including the piano. Lin Mo walked into the music department building and followed the sound to a piano room. The sound of the piano was coming from inside. The piano sound was very smooth, and the pitch was very high. It was obviously not played by a student. Lin Mo walked in and saw some students sitting around a piano in the piano room, listening to it quietly. Because his vision was blocked, Lin Mo could not see who was playing the piano. But with his piano skill, it should be at least a teacher, right? Lin Mo thought to himself. Not long after, a piano piece was played. A gentle and pleasant female voice slowly spoke as she explained to the students. Although Lin Mo did not see the person, he felt a little elated just by listening to the voice. If the voice was so pleasant, the person must be even more beautiful, right? Could it be the goddess-level professor in the music department, Xiao Qianwei? Lin Mo could not help but move closer to the source of the sound. Soon, he was around the students. Looking through the gaps in the crowd, Lin Mo saw the owner of the pleasant voice. Lin Mo's eyes widened. There was shock, astonishment, and disbelief in his eyes. Chapter 519. She looked in the direction Lin Mo was looking at and saw the woman who was explaining to the students. She was about 35 years old. She had a bloated body, small eyes that were narrowed into slits, and a round face. Her skin was terrible. Everything about her seemed so harmonious, but the only thing that was out of place was her voice. Such a heavenly voice was given to such an ugly body. What a waste of a heavenly gift. Her voice was strange. Lin Mo sighed to himself, feeling a little uncomfortable. He had thought that she was the goddess of music, Xiao Qianwei. He did not expect her to be such an ugly woman. Being stared at by Lin Mo, the woman who was explaining to the students in a gentle voice seemed to have sensed his stare. She suddenly looked at Lin Mo. "You are?" The woman asked curiously. Judging from Lin Mo's age and appearance, he did not look like a student. "I'm a teacher from another department. I was passing by when I heard such beautiful piano music, so I couldn't help but come and have a listen." Although he was disgusted, Lin Mo did not show it on his face. After all, he was here to show off, not to provoke others. Naturally, he did not want to get into a conflict with others. Judging from the woman's age and piano skills, she was probably a music teacher at university. "Oh, hello." The woman smiled at Lin Mo and asked casually, "Which department are you an assistant teacher from?" "Finance." Lin Mo replied with a forced smile. Then, he remembered his purpose for coming here and suddenly said, "Actually, I wanted to be a teacher in the music department, but I ended up in the finance department by accident." Qingling University was huge, and there were many assistant teachers. Although Lin Mo had embarrassed himself on the court, it was only known to the finance department. Many students from other departments did not know about it, nor did they know who Lin Mo was. "You know how to play the piano too?" The woman with squinted eyes asked in surprise. "A little." Lin and Mo smiled faintly. Why don't you play a song? The woman with squinted eyes found Lin and Mo quite pleasing to the eye. She felt like she had found a soulmate, so she extended a friendly invitation. I'm just so-so. Lin and Mo shook his head modestly, but then he changed the topic. But I haven't played for a long time, and my hands are indeed itching. I'll show you my incompetence then. When the slit-eyed woman heard this, she smiled and immediately got up from the chair to make room for Lin and Mo. Lin and Mo moved over and sat down. Immediately, he felt some residual heat on the soft stool, which made him feel uncomfortable. If this was a chair that a beautiful woman had just sat on, then he would be able to sit on it peacefully. However, it was a crooked one. She wouldn't have any infectious diseases, would she? Lin and Mo thought to himself. He really wanted to get up and sit down after the heat dissipated. However, since he had already sat down, it would be impolite for him to suddenly stand up. He could only brace himself and remain seated. There was a score on the piano stand. Lin and Mo casually flipped to the song Flying Bumblebee. Then he pressed his fingers on the piano keys. Seeing Lin Mo's actions, the people around him were shocked. They were all students of music, so they naturally understood that the song Fly to the Bumblebee was very difficult to play. Lin and Mo did not play it immediately. Instead, he scanned the eyes of the people around him. When he saw that they were all looking at him suspiciously, he secretly smiled. This was the effect he wanted. His fingers pressed on the piano keys, and a series of notes began to play. The suspicions on the faces of the people around him gradually turned into shock and admiration. At the same time, Lin Mo's acknowledgement points were also increasing rapidly. When the song ended, Lin and Mo received a vast amount of acknowledgement points. The people around him applauded enthusiastically, and the slit-eyed female teacher looked at him affectionately. Lin Mo's gaze inadvertently met the eyes of the female teacher. He felt a chill run down his spine, and he quickly looked away. Then he impatiently communicated with the system and used all the acknowledgement points he had received to increase the male ability attribute. When all the acknowledgement points were used up, the attribute's value had already turned from negative to positive. Ding! Lin Mo's male ability has been restored. Host villain points minus 2,000. Lin Mo's protagonist aura plus 100. Host villain aura minus 100. A notification from the system came. Wang Haoren, who was about to drink with his mouth open, was shocked and angry. He instinctively pushed Zhuqiu Qinyu away. Zhuqiu Qinyu could not react in time. She choked on the wine and coughed continuously. After she recovered a little, she rolled her eyes at Wang Haoren and said, I'm a newbie. Can't you be a little more tolerant? You don't have to be so rude to me, right? Just now, she was about to fulfill the bet she had lost a few months ago. However, due to her lack of experience, she was rather inexperienced. She had drunk a few times, but she had inadvertently drunk it. It was not easy for her to improve, but she did not expect to be treated like this. Wang Haoren acted as if he did not hear Zhuqiu Qinyu's words. His mind was filled with the notification from a system. Lin Mo's male ability had been restored, and because of this, he had lost the reward he had received for making Lin and Mo lose his male ability. This was the first time that this kind of trick used to deal with protagonists had been broken. It had to be said that Lin Mo's system was quite powerful. Sure enough, this method of poisoning was not very safe. The safest method was to cut him up physically and feed him to the dogs. This was the method he had used on Lu Chun. Hey, am I here? Why are you ignoring me? Zhuqiu Qinyu waved her hand in front of Wang Haoren's dazed eyes and said, what did you just say? Wang Haoren came back to his senses. Do you still want to drink? Zhuqiu Qinyu wanted to give it a try. She blinked at him. Wang Haoren was originally quite interested, but now he was a little dispirited. Moreover, he had interacted with Zhuqiu Qinyu for a while and had not eaten a single bite of food. It was better to eat as soon as possible and go to school to check on Lin and Mo. The food is cold. Let's eat first, Wang Haoren said. Zhuqiu Qinyu replied with an "oh" and began to eat. She did not know what Wang Haoren was thinking. She thought that Wang Haoren was not satisfied with her performance, so he acted this way. Zhuqiu Qinyu was quite helpless about this. Her past experience was special. She only knew how to fight and kill. She did not know anything else. She was even clumsier when it came to being a woman. No wonder he was not satisfied with her. It seemed that she had to learn how to be a woman. At the very least, she had to learn how to be a woman. Otherwise, if she did not have any competitiveness, how could she compete with the vixen by his side? Wang Haoran did not know what Zhuqiu Qinyu was planning. He just wanted to finish his meal quickly and return to Qingling University. He was not in a hurry with Zhuqiu Qinyu, but he had to deal with Lin Mo's recovery as soon as possible. After all, there were many female protagonists in Qingling University, although it seemed that Lin Mo would not be able to get any of them. But Wang Haoran had experienced the taste of the protagonist's miracle trial card twice. Any kind of unreasonable plot could happen to the protagonist. Now that Lin Mo had recovered his ability, it would be bad if he had such a miracle again. Chapter 520. In one of the piano rooms in the music building, a round of applause could be heard. It was the praise and affirmation that Lin Mo had received after performing another piano piece. Lin Mo was so happy that he was grinning from ear to ear as he received another huge wave of acknowledgement points. The beautiful but ugly female teacher was just as happy as Lin Mo. My surname is Hu. My name is Hu Zuixiang. How should I address you? The female teacher asked excitedly. Lin Mo was stunned when he heard this. Some memories surfaced in his mind. Hu Zuixiang. Wasn't she the legendary 10,000-year-old woman from Qingling University? It was said that she was in her mid-30s and was still single. She hadn't even been in a relationship. All the single male teachers in the school avoided her. Yet here she was. What was worse was that Hu Zuixiang had taken notice of him after he showed off his piano skills. Otherwise, Hu Zuixiang wouldn't have taken the initiative to ask for his name. Lin Mo didn't want to answer, but for the sake of politeness, he said, "My name is Lin Mo. Hello, Mr. Lin." Hu Zuixiang took the initiative to stretch out her chubby hand and revealed a smile. However, with this smile, her originally small eyes became a little blurry. Lin Mo couldn't bear to look at her. He reluctantly extended his hand. "Hello." Hu Zuixiang shook his hand and didn't let go for a long time. Her eyes were still fixed on Lin Mo, as if she was taking advantage of him. When the students at the side saw this, they looked at each other and immediately started to jeer. Among them, someone even asked, "Are you single, Mr. Lin?" Lin Mo pretended that he didn't hear the question. He struggled for a while and withdrew his hand from Hu Zuixiang's. The atmosphere in the room made Lin Mo feel uncomfortable. He was supposed to show off his piano skills and gain recognition. Now, he seemed to have become the subject of gossip. Lin Mo wanted to leave the piano room immediately, but he couldn't bear to admit that he was worthy. Mr. Lin's piano skills are so high. It's really admirable. I didn't enjoy it enough just now. Why don't you play a few more songs? Hu Zuixiang asked. Mr. Lin, please play a few more songs. Agreed. Our Mr. Hu is still single. Yes. Play a few more songs. Before Lin Mo could answer, the students around him chimed in. However, there were some discordant voices. Lin Mo felt goosebumps all over his body when he heard the discordant sound. Truly, those who wanted to watch a good show didn't mind blowing things up. Although his qualifications weren't very good, at the very least, he had decent looks and was an assistant teacher. His standards wouldn't be so low as to fall for this 10,000-year-old Hu Zuixiang. However, these people were Hu Zuixiang's students, so they naturally stood on Hu Zuixiang's side and followed her wishes. Lin Mo wanted to leave, but he suddenly remembered something. Apart from being a lecturer in the music department, Hu Zuixiang was also the vice principal of Qingling University. Her family was also involved in the education industry. Hu Zuixiang definitely had a certain amount of authority in Qingling University. Her words carried more weight than the professors. Lu Yu didn't know how long it would take. If they had Hu Zuixiang's help, they could definitely punish Wang Haoran. Although Wang Haoran was a rich second-generation heir, he could not hide the truth from the masses. If he could build a good relationship with Hu Zuixiang, then he could borrow her power. After sorting out all these, Lin Mo dismissed the idea of leaving. Then, let's play a few more songs. For the sake of recognition and to make friends with Hu Zuixiang, Lin Mo chose to stay. There was another uproar in the piano room. Some students thought that Lin Mo only stayed because he wanted to spend more time with Hu Zuixiang. Even Hu Zuixiang herself felt that way. For a moment, Hu Zuixiang's slightly dull and rough face showed some obvious redness. Lin Mo glanced at her and felt his scalp go numb. He quickly looked away and stopped looking at Hu Zuixiang. His attention returned to the piano keys. Lin Mo flipped through the score and continued to play a difficult piece. Melodious notes once again rang out from the zither room. The door of the piano room was open, and the notes drifted out of the room, attracting many students from the music department. Those who had never studied music might simply find the music pleasant. However, these students from the music department had good musical literacy and could hear the true level of the music. This level of piano performance was probably only that goddess from the music department, right? The students who passed by all thought so when they heard the piano music. However, when they walked into the piano room, they realized that this was not the case. However, it did not affect the crowd at all. Qiu Qianwei had just taken a short nap in the office and walked out to get some fresh air. The sound of the piano attracted her attention. However, Qiu Qianwei's reaction was not as big as the students. First of all, her piano skills were much better than this performer's. Secondly, she had seen a more perfect and exquisite piano performance. However, Qiu Qianwei was still curious and wanted to see who was playing the piano. This was because she had been teaching in the music department for a long time, and from the students to the lecturers and professors, she had not seen anyone with such a level of skill. Who could it be? With this curiosity, Qiu Qianwei walked towards the source of the sound. Not long after, they arrived outside a zither room. At this moment, the last note of a piano piece fell, and waves of enthusiastic applause came from the piano room. Qiu Qianwei looked at the door and realized that there were many people in the piano room. It was crowded and blocked the view. It was impossible to see who was playing the piano. Qiu Qianwei naturally would not squeeze in to see, but she was really curious about who was playing the piano. At this moment, a student squeezed out of the crowd and seemed to want to leave the piano room. He immediately asked, "Student, may I ask who is playing the piano inside?" Hearing the voice, Lu Hua looked up and blurted out subconsciously, "Hello, sister-in-law." Qiu Qianwei thought she was hearing things. "Hello, Professor Qiu." Lu Hua quickly corrected himself. Boss Wang Haoren said that he wanted all the campus belle and goddess professors of Qingling University. He did not allow the three brothers to have any ideas and had to treat them as sisters-in-law. Lu Hua had been out of his mind and could not help but shout. After correcting himself, he replied, "The person playing the piano inside is called Lin Mo. He is an assistant professor in the finance department." Qiu Qianwei was surprised. An assistant professor in the finance department could play the piano so well? This was really strange. "Professor Qiu, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Lu Hua greeted him respectfully and then hurried out of the piano room. He took out his phone and immediately dialed a number. Boss, bad news. That Lin Mo did not go to the basketball court to show off, but went to the music department building to show off." As soon as the call was connected, Lu Hua hurriedly reported. Chapter 521. Wang Haoren and Zhuoqiu Chenyu hurried back to Qingling University after their meal. As soon as he parked his car in the parking lot, he received a call from Lu Hua. After hearing the news, he followed Lu Hua's instructions and quickly rushed to the music department's piano room. At the door of the piano room, Qiu Qianwei was curiously craning her neck to see who was inside. When Wang Haoren saw her actions, he patted her shoulder from behind. Qiu Qianwei did not like to have physical contact with others. When she felt the pat on her shoulder, she immediately frowned and looked back. When she saw the person behind her, Qiu Qianwei's frown immediately relaxed, and she became a little energetic. But she was worried that there were people around, so she quickly restrained herself and secretly looked around. She found that everyone's attention was almost all on the piano. She whispered to Wang Haoren, "Why are you here? Why are you here? Are you here to look for me? If not for you, who else could I be looking for?" Wang Haoren asked back. Qiu Qianwei immediately pouted. She did not believe his words. If he was really here to look for her, He could have called in advance. Why would he suddenly come? And he even came to the piano room. But even so, when she heard him say that, she could not help but feel happy. Are you bored out of your mind? You came when you saw a commotion. In the future, don't run over when you see a commotion. Do you understand? Wang Haoran lectured her. I heard that someone plays the piano well, so I was curious. Qiu Qianwei defended herself in a small voice. If you like, I can play for you, Wang Haoran said. You said it. Qiu Qianwei was delighted. Don't watch the commotion. Go back to the office now. Wang Haoran saw Qiu Qianwei's actions and understood that she did not see Lin and Mo. Since that was the case, it was best not to let him see Lin and Mo and let Lin and Mo gain his approval. Okay. Qiu Qianwei obediently responded and was about to leave. But after a few steps, she paused and asked expectantly, Will you come and find me later? I'll come over later, Wang Haoran replied. Okay. Qiu Qianwei was overjoyed. She walked away with cheerful steps. Boss, you're here. Lu Hua, who was in the crowd, noticed Wang Haoran and quickly ran over. Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on Lin and Mo? Why did you let him show off? Wang Haoran glared at him. I thought he would only go to the basketball court to show off, but I didn't see him after waiting for a long time. I asked around and found out that he had come to the music department building, Lin and Mo explained. He then praised him. Speaking of which, this Lin and Mo is really good at playing the piano. Wang Haoran reached out and patted his head. Why did you hit me? Lu Hua was at a loss. Don't praise Lin and Mo in front of me. I won't allow it, Wang Haoran said with a glare. Lin Mo's system allowed him to gain recognition points. Lu Hua's emotions must have given him some recognition points. Lu Hua didn't understand why, but after being scolded, he nodded obediently. Wang Haoran turned and looked in the direction of the piano music. Although the crowd blocked his view, he wasn't affected by it because he had X-ray vision. He saw Lin and Mo playing the piano with an intoxicated look on his face. He didn't know if it was because he was immersed in the performance or because he had gained recognition points. However, Wang Haoran felt that the latter was more likely. Go away, make way. Lu Hua didn't know that Wang Haoran could see the situation inside. When he saw Wang Haoran looking at the crowd, he thought that he wanted to go in and have a look. He immediately tried to curry favor by pushing the crowd to make way for Wang Haoran. His action made the students around him unhappy. What are you looking at? If you keep looking, I'll kill you, Lu Hua said arrogantly. Then, he smiled at Wang Haoran and said, Boss, come here. I'll make way for you. Following Lu Hua's voice, the dissatisfied eyes turned to Wang Haoran. Wang Haoran was the most handsome guy in the school. Many people knew him. They were complaining at first, but now they only dared to complain in their hearts. Everyone knew that Wang Haoran was the young master of the Wang group. He was a super-rich second-generation heir. Ordinary students like them couldn't afford to offend him. Wang Haoran looked at Lu Hua's actions and wanted to slap him to death. This brain-damaged underling kept on making people hate him. However, as a villain, he couldn't teach Lu Hua to be polite in front of everyone and apologize to him. Ignoring the looks of the people around him, Wang Haoran walked through the crowd and came to the piano. Lin Mo's fingers danced quickly on the piano keys. Then, his hands suddenly cramped. The melodious notes came to an abrupt end. He didn't complete the song. Ding! The host stopped Lin and Mo from showing off. The host received 1,000 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -50, and the host's villain aura +50. Mr. Lin, what's wrong? Hu Zuixiang asked nervously when she saw Lin Mo's hands trembling. Her voice was so pleasant that it couldn't be any more pleasant to listen to. She was like the female lead. Wang Haoran's eyes lit up. He looked at her subconsciously and his face twitched. This kind of image definitely couldn't belong to the female lead. She simply couldn't be compared to the female lead. Although Yu Shiqing was ugly before, it was because of her birthmark. She had great potential, but the woman in front of him, other than her voice, was unbearable to look at. Even if she wanted to turn the tables and become the female lead, this wasn't the way to do it. I'm fine. Lin and Mo was afraid that he would have any physical contact with Hu Zuixiang. Hu Zuixiang had no choice but to withdraw her hand. Lin Mo rubbed his cramped hands. Then he inadvertently noticed Wang Haoren next to him. An extremely unpleasant feeling rose in his heart. I didn't expect Mr. Lin to be so talented. Not only can you play basketball, but you can also play the piano, Wang Haoren said with a smile. Lin Mo's mouth twitched. It would have been better if Wang Haoren didn't mention it. Now that Wang Haoren mentioned it, he remembered the embarrassing incident on the basketball court. Fortunately, the students of the music faculty were not aware of this. Mr. Wang, you seem to be in a good mood. Why are you here? Lin Mo asked with a fake smile. I was drawn here by the sound of Assistant Lin's piano, Wang Haoren replied, then said casually, that's right. By the way, how's your hand, Mr. Lin? Lin Mo felt that he couldn't move his fingers. But he didn't want Wang Haoren to laugh at him. So he said, don't worry. You don't have to worry about me. I'm fine. Wang Haoren knew that Lin Mo was pretending, but he didn't point it out. He knew that he was the one who did it. Lin Mo wouldn't be able to play the piano properly for at least a week. He couldn't rely on his piano skills to gain recognition. Chapter 522. Go on, Assistant Lin. I won't disturb you any further. Wang Haoren smiled and turned to leave. He headed to Chiu Qianwei's office. He wanted to keep an eye on Lin Mo. He did not have to stay by his side. He could just go to Chiu Qianwei's office. There were soft office chairs for him to sit on. It was much better than standing here. Lin Mo was confused by Wang Haoren's words. Just now, he was playing the piano well, but when Wang Haoren came, his hand cramped. Could it be that Wang Haoren had something to do with it? Lin Mo guessed, but soon he felt that it was ridiculous. That was because Wang Haoren had never touched him at all. However, Lin Mo's vigilance had increased significantly. Of course, he knew that Wang Haoren was targeting him. Wasn't it all because of Wang Haoren that he couldn't teach? Lin Mo could not play the piano for the time being. The people around him started to disperse. Soon, only Hu Zuixiang and her student were left. Her student was very sensible. After staying for a while, he immediately left, leaving Hu Zuixiang and Lin Mo alone. Hu Zuixiang was very happy. Lin Mo felt very uncomfortable. However, he had the mentality of wanting to make friends with Hu Zuixiang, so he could only bite the bullet and stay. Hu Zuixiang suggested that they exchange contact information. Lin Mo did not object. He took out his phone and let Hu Zuixiang scan the QR code. Mr. Lin, why are your fingers still shaking? Are you really okay? Hu Zuixiang noticed that Lin Mo's hands were trembling. She asked with concern, maybe it's because I haven't touched the piano for a long time. My fingers are not used to playing such a passionate song, Lin Mo explained. You have to take good care of your hands. I've been playing the piano for a long time. It's the same for me. Let me give you a massage. It'll ease the pain, Hu Zuixiang said with a smile. It's okay. Lin Mo was afraid that he would vomit. He tried his best not to look at Hu Zuixiang's face. You're welcome. Trust me, it's really effective. Seeing that there was no one else around, Hu Zuixiang took the initiative and grabbed Lin Mo's hand. Lin Mo felt like crying, but no tears came out. However, since he had a favor to ask of Hu Zuixiang, he did not want to fall out with her. I heard that students call you a teaching assistant. Are you only a teaching assistant in the finance department? Hu Zuixiang asked curiously as she massaged Lin Mo's fingers. In her opinion, Lin Mo's piano skills were so high, but he was teaching in the finance department. He should at least be an associate professor, right? However, he was a teaching assistant. Of course, Hu Zuixiang found it strange. He's indeed a teaching assistant. Moreover, he's the kind of teaching assistant who doesn't even have the chance to teach, Lin Mo mocked. What's going on? Hu Zuixiang asked. Isn't it all because of that rich second-generation kid who spoke to me just now? Previously, I had some conflicts with him. He disrupted the discipline of the class and prevented me from teaching, Lin Mo complained. Who's the professor that brought you here? Doesn't the professor care about this? Hu Zuixiang asked. That Wang Haoren comes from a powerful family. He's pressuring the professor who brought me here. She can't deal with Wang Haoren right now, Lin Mo said. So what if he's a rich second-generation kid? He can't do whatever he wants. Hu Zuixiang snorted. I'll take care of this. I'll definitely solve it for you so that you can teach normally. Okay, thank you so much. Lin Mo was overjoyed. Don't mention it. Actually, I felt like I hit it off with you the moment I saw you. We've only just met, but it feels like we've known each other for many years. Perhaps this is called fate. Hu Zuixiang grabbed Lin Mo's hand and looked at him lovingly. Lin Mo's back was covered in cold sweat. Stop joking. I'm serious. Look, we both know how to play the piano. We have a lot in common. If we get together, I'm sure we'll get along very well. We'll be a perfect match. As an old single woman, she would not be as shy as a little girl. When she met someone she liked, she would tell him directly. There was no need to beat around the bush. Lin Mo was being groped like crazy. He really wanted to fling her hand away and throw 3 words at Hu Zuixiang coldly. Dream on. However, Lin Mo wanted to use this opportunity to deal with Wang Haoren. He could only suppress the disgust in his heart. This is too fast. I can't get used to it. Lin Mo did not want to fall out with Hu Zuixiang, but he also wanted to maintain their friendship. So you're saying that you actually like me too, right? You just need time to get used to it. Is that right? Hu Zuixiang was overjoyed. There was a glint in her eyes that looked like she was going to devour him. That's something like that. Lin Mo forced himself to reply. Wang Haoren, who was in Xiu Qianwei's office, saw Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang's conversation and laughed out loud. In order to deal with him, Lin Mo was willing to go all out. He even sold his body. Wang Haoren originally planned to ask Jiang Gaoxian to teach Lin Mo a lesson so that he could deal with Lu Chun. However, after seeing Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang's conversation, he changed his mind. He had heard of Hu Zuixiang's name before. A 35-year-old woman who was half wolf and half tiger. Wang Haoren began to formulate a plan in his mind. Time flew by. Soon, the bell for the first afternoon class rang. Wang Haoren left the office and went to the finance building for class. After the first class, Wang Haoren was called to the office by Lu Yu. You've been criticized. The higher-ups said that if you continue to disrupt class discipline, you'll be expelled, Lu Yu said to Wang Haoren sternly. Wang Haoren had expected this. When he heard the news, his expression was calm. I won't disrupt class discipline in the future. However, can you help me postpone Lin Mo's class until tomorrow? Is that okay? Of course. Lu Yu nodded. Knock, knock. As soon as they finished talking, there was a knock on the door. Come in, Lu Yu said. Lin Mo opened the door and walked in with a smile on his face. He didn't find it strange to see Wang Haoren here. He could guess that Wang Haoren had been called in for a talk. The content of the talk was to warn him to be disciplined in the future. Professor Lu, there shouldn't be any problems with my class, right? Lin Mo asked Lu Yu with a handsome smile. That's right. Lin Mo had become more handsome. His temperament and appearance had improved significantly. The reason was naturally because of his piano skills. He had gained a lot of recognition. Not only did Lin Mo's manly ability surpass that of a normal man, but his appearance and temperament had also improved. Before this, Lin Mo looked very ordinary. However, as his appearance and temperament improved, he could be considered a handsome man now. Lu Yu was shocked when she saw this. Chapter 5:23. However, Lu Yu's shock was due to the contrast between Lin Mo's appearance and his looks. She did not think that Lin Mo was handsome. First of all, Lu Yu's heart was completely occupied by someone else. Second of all, Lin Mo was just a handsome boy. He was not a super handsome boy, let alone a super handsome boy. Even if Lu Yu wanted to see a handsome boy, she could just look at Wang Haoren. Why would she look at someone else? Lin Mo saw that Lu Yu did not answer. He thought that she was obsessed with his good looks. He was secretly delighted. Professor Lu, I will arrange for you to teach in class 112 tomorrow, Lu Yu replied. Thank you, Professor Lu. Lin Mo flashed a handsome smile. Unfortunately, Lu Yu's expression did not change. She retracted her gaze and glanced at Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren was in class 113. Even if he wanted to cause trouble, he could not do it in class 112. Moreover, Hu Zuixiang had already told him that she had sent someone to warn Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren must have received the warning. If he continued to cause trouble in class, he would face expulsion. How could Wang Haoren dare to cause trouble? Of course, Lin Mo also considered that Wang Haoren would seek revenge in other ways. For example, he could secretly ask someone to beat him up. Lin Mo had already prepared a countermeasure. After showing off his piano skills in the piano room, he gained a lot of recognition. Not only did Lin Mo's temperament and appearance improve, but he also improved his overall physical fitness. With the improvement of his physical fitness, Lin Mo's strength, reflexes, and punches and kicks improved by several levels. It was no exaggeration to say that Lin Mo could easily take on 10 people with one hand. If Wang Haoren asked Lu Hua and the other small fries to deal with him, they would be sending themselves to their deaths. Lin Mo was much more confident now. He did not seem as timid as he used to be. He looked at Wang Haoren without showing any signs of weakness. Wang Haoren sensed Lin Mo's undisguised hostility. He spent some villain points on him and immediately noticed the changes in his attributes panel. Then, he secretly laughed in a mocking manner. He finally understood why Lin Mo was acting this way. From Lin Mo's point of view, he should be confident. However, Lin Mo had underestimated him. Did he really think that he was just a rich second-generation heir? What he didn't know was that he had already transcended the category of martial arts and possessed 200 years of true energy. True chi versus fists and kicks. This was like a cultivator versus a martial artist. It was a complete blow to the dimension, okay? However, Wang Haoren did not plan to use force to deal with Lin Mo. Instead, he planned to give Lin Mo a fragrant, fortuitous encounter. Professor Liu, I'll go back to the classroom first. Wang Haoren couldn't be bothered to argue with Lin Mo. He said goodbye to Lu Yu and left. Lin Mo sneered as he watched Wang Haoren disappear from his sight. Then he looked away. Professor Liu, I have some academic questions that I'd like to ask you. I wonder if you're free tonight. I'll treat you to dinner and ask you some academic questions. After gaining confidence, Lin Mo became bolder and took the opportunity to pursue Lu Yu. I'm not free tonight. You can leave now. I still have work to do. Lu Yu interrupted Lin Mo coldly and gestured for him to leave. Lin Mo was embarrassed for a moment, but he quickly recovered. This small setback was nothing to him. It would be difficult for a goddess professor like Lu Yu to pursue. It would be wishful thinking if he could persuade her to go out for dinner with him. Lin Mo was not in a hurry. Since Professor Liu has work to do, I won't disturb you. Lin Mo revealed a very gentlemanly smile. He was not angry at Lu Yu's cold rejection at all. After that, he left the office suavely, leaving Lu Yu with a handsome back view. Of course, this was only Lin Mo's wishful thinking. How could Lu Yu not see through Lin Mo's thoughts? She was disgusted by Lin Mo's behavior. How could she find him handsome? Time passed quietly. In the blink of an eye, it was evening. The day's classes were finally over. After class, the students filed out of the classroom. Lin Mo started to walk around the finance department's building. Some girls passing by saw him and looked at him in surprise. After Lin Mo's appearance and temperament improved, he was still attractive to ordinary girls. In particular, a portion of girls had a special preference for this kind of uncle-level handsome guy. Lin Mo also gained some recognition as he was admired by some girls. Lin Mo could not help but sigh. It was so good to be handsome. He did not do anything but walk around casually, and he gained recognition. He was only average at the moment. Once he accumulated more recognition, his appearance and temperament would be improved by a few more levels. Then, the attention he received would skyrocket, and the recognition value obtained would also be more. After all, this kind of little handsome could only attract ordinary girls. It wasn't very attractive to beauties who were slightly more beautiful. If he became a top-tier handsome guy, he would probably be the center of attention wherever he went. He might even be noticed by the campus belle and goddess professors. When that time came, it would be awesome. Lin Mo had increased the attribute of the male ability quite a lot. Naturally, he hoped that this ability would be useful. Just as Lin Mo was looking forward to the future, his phone suddenly rang. It was a message from Hu Zuexiang. The content of the message was that Lin Mo should treat her to a meal. Lin Mo's head hurt. He really wanted to reject this strange voice. However, Hu Zuexiang had just done him a big favor. It would not be right if he did not treat her to a meal. Moreover, he might have to rely on Hu Zuixiang in the future. This relationship still needed to be maintained. Of course, he still had to keep a distance. Lin and Mo did not want to have anything to do with Hu Zuixiang. After thinking for a while, Lin and Mo typed a reply to Hu Zuixiang. The general idea was to treat her to a meal in the cafeteria. Of course, there was a reason for his reply. If they went out to eat, there would be only the two of them. Hu Zuixiang could take advantage of him. When Lin and Mo was in the piano room, he had already touched her hand for a while. Who knew if Hu Zuixiang would do something even more outrageous when they went out? Lin and Mo did not want to give her the opportunity and convenience. However, it would be different if they went to the cafeteria. There were teachers and students there. If Hu Zuixiang had such thoughts, she would definitely restrain herself. Of course, Hu Zuixiang was dissatisfied when she saw Lin Mo's reply. She immediately said that Lin and Mo was not sincere and would not treat her to a meal outside. Lin and Mo said that he was very poor and did not have money. He also said that he would treat her to a meal outside after he received his salary. When Hu Zuixiang heard that, she could not continue to insist. She could only agree for now. Although they were going to the cafeteria, it was still a chance to spend time with Lin and Mo. Chapter 5:24. Lin and Mo and Hu Zuixiang headed to the cafeteria after their discussion. However, he didn't notice that someone was watching his every move. That person even saw the content of his conversation with Hu Zuixiang. On the balcony of class 113 on the 5th floor of the finance faculty, Wang Haoren stopped looking at Lin and Mo. His original plan was to use his hacking skills to create a fake message and meet Lin and Mo and Hu Zuixiang at the same place at night to carry out his plan. However, Lin and Mo and Hu Zuixiang suddenly agreed to have dinner together, which saved him a lot of trouble. However, under normal circumstances, students were not allowed to enter the cafeteria. However, this was not a big problem. Wang Haoren took out his phone and contacted Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu. The three of them were professors. It was no problem for them to bring a student into the cafeteria. The reason why he asked the three of them to go together, and not just one, was because he was afraid that too many people would see and cause unnecessary misunderstandings. If he went to the cafeteria with Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu, it would attract attention. Others might think that there was something going on between the two of them. However, it was different with Qiu Qianwei and the other two. No matter how imaginative others were, they wouldn't think that there was something going on between the three of them. Naturally, there wouldn't be any rumors. After Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu received the message, they immediately rushed over to Wang Haoren. The three of them thought that Wang Haoren only asked for them. When they saw the other sisters, they couldn't help but feel speechless. Let's go. Bring me to the cafeteria. I haven't eaten there before, Wang Haoren said. Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu felt strange. They didn't understand why Wang Haoren wanted to eat in the cafeteria on a whim. Even so, they still agreed. With Qiu Qianwei and the others leading the way, Wang Haoren successfully entered the cafeteria. There were many student cafeterias. Most of them were near the dormitories. However, there was only one cafeteria for teachers. Lin and Mo and Hu Zuixiang would naturally eat in the cafeteria. At this moment, there weren't many people in the cafeteria. As far as the eye could see, there were only a few dozen people. When Wang Haoren arrived at the canteen, he easily spotted Lin and Mo and Hu Zuixiang. The combination of Qiu Qianwei and Wang Haoren, a handsome man and a beautiful woman, was also particularly eye-catching. As soon as he walked into the cafeteria, many people immediately looked at him. Lin and Mo was one of them. Lin and Mo only knew Lu Yu and had never seen Qiu Qianwei and Ji Shuiyao before. However, after seeing Lu Yu holding hands intimately with the two beauties, he could naturally guess that the two beauties beside Lu Yu were her two younger sisters, Qiu Qianwei and Ji Shuiyao. The three goddess-like beauties walking together made Lin and Mo a little dazed. But when Lin and Mo saw that Wang Haoren was among them, he suddenly felt very unhappy. Why wasn't he the one beside the three female professors? Ding! The host has damaged the protagonist Lin Mo's mentality. 800 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura, -40, and the host's villain aura plus 40. After receiving the system notification, Wang Haoran smiled inwardly and went to get his food with Qiu Qianwei and the others. After getting their food, Wang Haoran deliberately walked past Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang while looking for a seat with the tray in his hand. When he walked past them, Wang Haoran discreetly added some spices to Lin Mo's food. Then, he sat down at the table next to Lin Mo's. Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu followed behind Wang Haoran and sat down. Teaching assistant Lin? What a coincidence. Wang Haoran greeted Lin Mo with a fake smile. Then, he turned to look at Hu Zuixiang. Is this your girlfriend? Lin Mo didn't want to reply to Wang Haoran, but Wang Haoran suddenly said that last sentence. Lin Mo had no choice but to quickly clarify. Don't misunderstand. We're just friends. He didn't say that to respond to Wang Haoran. Instead, he wanted to tell Lu Yu and the others that he was single and wasn't in a relationship with Hu Zuixiang. Little did he know that Qiu Qianwei and the others didn't have time to talk to him. They didn't even bother to look at him. Whether Lin Mo had a girlfriend or not had nothing to do with them. Hu Zuixiang felt a little disappointed when she heard Lin Mo's words. However, the two of them were just friends at the moment. She couldn't refute him. Wang Haoran ignored Lin Mo for the time being. He picked up a piece of broccoli and put it in his mouth, waiting for the show to start. However, Lin Mo kept looking at Wang Haoran. Or rather, he kept looking at Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Lu Yu. You like to eat this? I'll give you mine too. Qiu Qianwei saw that Wang Haoran didn't have much broccoli on his plate, so she put some on his plate. Thank you, Professor Qiu. Wang Haoran blinked and said politely. Qiu Qianwei smiled. He wasn't used to this feeling. However, this was a special place. Naturally, it wasn't like they were in private. You're welcome, Student Wang. Eat more. Qiu Qianwei smiled sweetly. Ding. The host has damaged Lin Mo's mentality. Obtained 800 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura minus 40. Host's villain aura plus 40. Lu Yu also wanted to show off, but there wasn't any broccoli on her plate. Soon, Wang Haoran finished the few pieces of broccoli on his plate. Lu Yu didn't say anything. She took Wang Haoran's plate and walked to the table. Soon, she returned. She placed Wang Haoran's plate in front of him again. There were a few more spoonfuls of broccoli on his plate. Student Wang, since you like it, eat more, Lu Yu said in her unique mature voice. Ding. The host has damaged Lin Mo's mentality. Obtained 800 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura minus 40. Host's villain aura plus 40. Thank you, Professor Lu, Wang Haoran said seriously. Ji Shuiyao, who had maintained a rigid and serious expression, felt that she should do something when she saw this scene. After thinking for a while, she suddenly said to Wang Haoran gently, You're probably thirsty. You must be thirsty. I'll get you a bottle of water. Ding. The host has damaged Lin Mo's mentality. Obtained 800 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura minus 40. Host's villain aura plus 40. Qiu Qianwei and Lu Yu looked at her suspiciously. Lu Yu had already explained things to Qiu Qianwei. Qiu Qianwei naturally accepted her generously. However, what was Ji Shuiyao's situation? Facing Lu Yu and Qiu Qianwei's scrutiny, Ji Shuiyao was a little embarrassed. She quickly changed her words and said, What I mean is, you're probably thirsty. I'll get you some water. After speaking, Ji Shuiyao quickly stood up to avoid Qiu Qianwei and Lu Yu's scrutiny. She went to the vending machine in the cafeteria and bought 4 bottles of water. She took a deep breath to calm herself down before returning to her original seat. Lin Mo felt that it was unfair, but after looking at them for a while, he suddenly felt relieved. If Lu Yu, Qiu Qianwei, or Ji Shuiyao were especially attentive to Wang Haoran, then there might be something going on. However, the 3 of them were so nice to Wang Haoran, so there couldn't be that kind of relationship. Lin Mo guessed that Wang Haoran might be related to the 3 sisters. For example, Wang Haoran might be their cousin. Lin Mo, you're eating with me. Why do you keep looking elsewhere? Hu Zuixiang saw Lin Mo's actions and complained in her goddess-like voice. Lin Mo wanted to retort. Of course I'm looking at my goddess. Why would I look at you? Looking at you will only affect my appetite. However, he didn't dare to say that out loud. In order to be polite, he retracted his gaze from the neighboring table and looked at Hu Zuixiang's face. Lin Mo was suddenly stunned. Hu Zuixiang's originally ugly face was now extraordinarily beautiful. Her delicate facial features and snow-white skin made her look like a goddess. Lin Mo thought that his eyes must be playing tricks on him, so he rubbed his eyes and looked again. The Hu Zuixiang in front of him still had a goddess-like face that matched her goddess-like voice perfectly. Her looks were no worse than those of the three goddesses at the neighboring table. Then, he looked at the three goddesses. No, they weren't goddesses. They were three ugly women. What was going on? The strange situation made Lin Mo feel a little confused and shocked. However, before he could think too much, he suddenly felt an irrepressible urge rising in him. It was getting stronger and stronger. Lin Mo's face flushed red as he stared at the beautiful Hu Zuixiang with a burning gaze. Chapter 5:25. Hu Zuixiang's attention had always been on Lin Mo. Lin Mo's burning gaze was reflected in Hu Zuixiang's eyes. Hu Zuixiang was surprised by Lin Mo's reaction. She didn't understand why, but she was soon overjoyed. Lin Mo, why are you looking at me like that? Her voice was shy and timid, and it was enough to melt a person's heart. When Lin Mo heard these words, the impulse that rose in his heart grew even stronger. This strange situation made Lin Mo very puzzled, but his hot-bloodedness did not allow him much time to think. He didn't even have time to think about how Hu Zuixiang became so beautiful and charming. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was, but this was not the right place. He lowered his voice and said, Zuixiang, are you done eating? Come with me. I have something to tell you. I'm not done eating. Hu Zuixiang was confused. What do you want to say to me? You can just say it here. I want to... Lin Mo wanted to be more direct, but there were other people around, so he leaned forward and whispered into Hu Zuixiang's ear. You right now. His voice was soft, but Hu Zuixiang still heard it. She was stunned at first. She wanted to say that he was a pervert, but then she thought, isn't this exactly what I wanted? Where were we going? Hu Zuixiang asked in a low voice. She didn't want to miss this opportunity. Lin Mo thought for a moment. The washroom. Hu Zuixiang's eyes widened to the size of soybeans, but in the next moment, she was eager to try. Being half wolf and half tiger was no joke. Once he got up, it was even more exaggerated than being drugged. Hu Zuixiang silently agreed. She stood up and walked to the washroom in the cafeteria. Lin Mo followed her in a hurry. He felt that he was about to explode. Qiu Qianwei, Ji Shuiyao, and Liu didn't notice Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang's departure, but Wang Haoran did. When he saw Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang enter the washroom, Wang Haoran had the urge to spit out his food. Heavenly thunder, earthly fire, this is incredible. Qiu Qianwei and the others looked at him suspiciously. Wang Haoran was not in a hurry. After eating with Qiu Qianwei and the others, he left with them. Halfway through, he found an excuse to return to the entrance of the teacher's cafeteria. Wang Haoran made a call and called Lu Hua and the others over. The teacher's cafeteria was only for teachers to eat, but students could still enter. After all, there was no one blocking the entrance. After receiving the call, Lu Hua and his two brothers rushed over. Wang Haoran immediately led the three of them to the women's restroom. When they arrived at the entrance of the female washroom, they heard a loud commotion coming from inside. Some of the female teachers who had come to relieve themselves heard strange noises coming from one of the partitions. They immediately thought of something and were too embarrassed to disturb them. After secretly saying that it was offensive to public decency, they were too embarrassed to go and relieve themselves and awkwardly left. In the bathroom, there were only two people who were completely engrossed in their work. They even ignored the footsteps outside. Wang Haoran asked Lu Hua and his two brothers to act as cameramen and secretly record these scenes. There was a gap at the bottom of the bathroom partition, and the top was not covered. The three brothers looked for various angles to record the scenes. They seemed to be enjoying themselves. Time passed quietly, and the main hall of the teacher's canteen became empty. After a period of silence, Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang's figures appeared in the cafeteria hall. The two of them were sneaking around. However, when they saw that there was no one around, they immediately heaved a sigh of relief. However, after that, Lin Mo's face scrunched up. It was uglier than a bitter gourd. He tilted his head to look at Hu Zuixiang, who was beside him, and thought to himself, "What have I done wrong?" At this moment, Lin Mo was no longer hallucinating. Everything around him had become real. Hu Zuixiang's appearance was no longer heavenly beauty. Instead, it was too horrible to look at. When Lin Mo recalled what had happened earlier, he wanted to cry but had no tears. Hu Zuixiang, on the other hand, had a happy and satisfied look on her face. "Lin Mo, I didn't expect you to be such a person. But forget it. You got lucky. You have to treat me well in the future." Hu Zuixiang held Lin Mo's hand and said coyly. Since it had already happened, Lin Mo could not deny it. Of course, the main reason was that Hu Zuixiang was not to be trifled with. Lin Mo could not let Hu Zuixiang suffer in silence. However, in order to pursue Lu Yu and the others in the future, he had to keep a distance from Hu Zuixiang. After thinking for a while, he suddenly said solemnly, Zuixiang, Zuixiang, we're developing too quickly. People might gossip. I think it's better if we don't make it public for the time being. If they like to gossip, then so be it. I don't care, Hu Zuixiang said. She had long been sick of people gossiping about her behind her back. Now that she was no longer single, she was afraid that people would not know. Of course, she had to make a public announcement. I told you not to make it public for the time being. Are you disobeying me? Lin Mo put on a dignified expression. Hu Zuixiang was stunned. She could not help but recall Lin Mo's imposing manner earlier. Her heart skipped a beat. She said coyly, I'll listen to you. Lin Mo almost vomited. Fortunately, he forced himself to hold it in. After they walked out of the cafeteria, Lin Mo was afraid that people would gossip about them. He quickly parted ways with Hu Zuixiang. As Lin Mo walked on the path of the campus, his heart was filled with doubts. What was going on with his abnormal behavior just now? After thinking hard, he could not figure it out. He decided not to think about it for the time being. This matter, he planned to rot in his stomach and never speak of it ever again. After all, only he and Hu Zuixiang knew about it. As long as he did not say anything and she did not say anything, how would others know? After thinking it through, Lin Mo's mood improved a little. Hey, that guy looks like the one on the forum. Not looks like, he's definitely him. Look at his clothes. Yes, he really is. Some passers-by saw Lin Mo and snickered. Their voices were not loud, but they were not soft either. Lin Mo was not deaf. Naturally, he heard them. At first, Lin Mo did not pay much attention to them. However, along the way, he realized that people were looking at him strangely. Lin Mo was puzzled. Soon, he thought of a keyword in these discussions. Forum. Could it be the campus forum? Lin Mo guessed. He immediately took out his phone and checked Qingling University's campus forum. Previously, the top post in the forum was about the campus bells of the freshmen. However, it was now replaced by another post. Lin Mo clicked on the post and saw that there were words and videos in it. He ignored the words and clicked on the video. He was so shocked that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Chapter 526. There were only two people in the video, one male and one female. The male lead looked too familiar. Wasn't that him? He was too engrossed in the video that he didn't notice that he was being watched. Someone even took a video of it and posted it on the forum. Lin Mo knew the consequences even if he thought about it with his toes. His face turned pale instantly. He didn't even know if he could survive in Qingling University, let alone pursue his goddess. Ding! Host manipulated behind the scenes and damaged Lin Mo's mentality. Received 1,000 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -50. Host's villain aura +50. Ding! Host manipulated behind the scenes and damaged Lin Mo's mentality. Received 1,000 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -50. Host's villain aura +50. There were more than 10 videos in the forum post. They were taken from various angles and showed Lin Mo's elegance. It hadn't even been half an hour since the post was posted, but there were already hundreds of replies. Moreover, the number of replies was still increasing. Lin Mo was afraid that the incident would continue to spread. He quickly contacted the administrators of the campus forum and asked them to delete the post. However, the reply he received was that the administrative rights of the forum had been seized by someone else. It was suspected that a hacker had hacked into the forum. The computer science department was handling the matter. It was still unknown when the administrative rights would be restored. The sky gradually darkened. Lin Mo was destined to be sleepless that night. He kept scrolling through the forum, hoping that the post would be deleted soon. The pinned post was finally removed when it was almost dawn. However, the incident had already spread. It was on the hot search list and had caused a heated discussion on the internet. Qingling University was a century-old school with a good reputation. Now that something so immoral had happened, one could imagine how angry the school management was. In the morning, Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang were unsurprisingly summoned by the school's management. They were dismissed from their positions and would never be employed in the education industry. Ding! Host manipulated behind the scenes and caused the protagonist Lin Mo to be dismissed. Received 2,400 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist Aura minus 120. Host villain Aura plus 120. Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang had nothing to say about it. After all, the impact of this incident was too great. Lin Mo and Hu Zuixiang left the meeting room. It's all your fault. Why were you in such a hurry? Now, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Hu Zuixiang was very anxious. Compared to Lin Mo, this had a much greater impact on her. She was the vice principal of Qingling University. She was only 35 years old and had a bright future ahead of her. And because of this, even her family in the education industry would be affected. Yesterday, Lin Mo was still looking forward to the future. Now that he was faced with such a situation, he was in a terrible mood. It takes two hands to clap. Who told you to agree? Now you're blaming me. What did you do before? Hu Zuixiang was taken aback by Lin Mo's reaction. Her future was already gone. If she were to lose this powerful boyfriend as well, then her life would really be too gloomy. With that thought in mind, Hu Zuixiang restrained her anger and said softly, "All right, I'm also at fault here. But now that things have already happened, it's useless to be angry. At most, I'll just stop working in the education industry." After comforting her for a while, he began to plan for the future. Our piano skills are so high. Even if we open a private specialty class, we can still make a lot of money. In any case, we won't starve to death. Lin Mo did not say anything. Hu Zuixiang looked at him lovingly and held his hand. She continued, "I've given you my most precious thing. You can't let me down. You have to be good to me for the rest of your life." Her voice was soft and seductive. But when Lin Mo looked at Hu Zuixiang's face, he felt like his eyes were burning. Lin Mo could not take it anymore. He shook off Hu Zuixiang's hand and said angrily, "You ugly freak, stop dreaming. You think you're precious? This is my first time. I don't owe you anything. We'll go our separate ways in the future." Previously, he had pretended to be nice to Hu Zuixiang because he wanted to teach. But now that he was fired, Hu Zuixiang had lost her value. Why should he put up with it? Moreover, he had the system. Although he could not continue to be a university teaching assistant, the world was vast and there were many places he could explore. It would not be long before he could make a name for himself. By then, he would have all kinds of beautiful women. With this ugly woman, Hu Zuixiang, he must be crazy. Lin Mo, I'll give you one more chance to reorganize your words. Say it again. Hu Zuixiang's temper flared. She said coldly. Lin Mo felt a little guilty, but his disgust for Hu Zuixiang overshadowed all his guilt. He was determined to cut ties with her. He said mercilessly, "Listen up. Even if I'm a eunuch, I won't be with you. I won't be with you either. Do you hear me? You, just you wait." Hu Zuixiang was so angry that her round face contorted. She left in a huff. Lin Mo breathed a sigh of relief. Judging by Hu Zuixiang's behavior, she would not let him off easily. But he could take on 10 people with one hand. Why should he be afraid of her? Lin Mo looked at the finance department's building from afar. He was reluctant to leave. He had planned to pursue Lu Yu, or even Xiu Qianwei and Ji Shuiyao. But now that this incident had happened, he would not be able to pursue them. But how many beauties were there in the world? With his ability, he was not afraid of not being able to find a beautiful woman. In the finance department's class 113 classroom, a teacher was lecturing at the podium, but Wang Haoren was not in the mood to listen. Instead, he was looking at the latest system messages. Lin Mo had the super teacher system. Wang Haoren thought that Lin Mo would lose his status as the main character after he expelled him. But now, it seemed that he was overthinking things. Lin Mo's system was still effective. After leaving Qingling University, he did not know where he would go. Wang Haoren's influence could not reach that far. Without restrictions, Lin Mo's life would be like a cheat code, reaching the pinnacle of life. In the process, who knew how many female protagonists would suffer? The female protagonists were such cute creatures. How could he let the main character bully them? Other than that, Lin Mo's system had the potential to improve his martial arts. Once it developed, it would be very strong. If Lin Mo hated him and came back to find trouble with him in the future, that would not be good. Of course, Lin Mo's system's martial arts growth was limited. It would not be able to defeat him. After all, Lin Mo could only improve his physical fitness. The body had its limits. It could not be compared to the improvement brought by true energy. In short, he could not let Lin Mo leave Qingling University safely. Then, I'll give him a set meal first. At least I'll earn back the villain points and halo points that I lost. With that thought, Wang Haoren quickly typed a message to contact Jiang Gaoxian. Chapter 527. Late at night, Lin Mo ordered some fried noodles from a small stall near Qingling University to pay tribute to the temple of his five viscera. After being expelled, he was ordered to leave Qingling University as soon as possible. In order to find a place to stay, Lin Mo ran around for a whole day and finally found a cheap house. In the teacher's dormitory, his luggage was already packed. He could move out tomorrow. However, he still had to sleep in the teacher's dormitory for the night. After eating the fried noodles, Lin Mo prepared to return to the dormitory. The path back to school was very quiet. There was almost no one in sight. However, after walking for a while, Lin Mo was stopped by 5 or 6 people with weapons in their hands. One of the people in the group took out his phone and glanced at the photo, then at Lin Mo. After making sure that they had found the right person, he immediately rushed forward with his friends, wanting to teach Lin Mo a lesson. Lin Mo smiled in disdain. He was already in a bad mood and was worried that he had nowhere to vent his anger. This group of people came at the right time. According to his guess, this group of people was either Hu Zuixiang or Wang Haoren. However, this was not important. He would beat them up first. Lin Mo's physical fitness had greatly improved. He was no longer the same as before. Lin Mo was very brave. He collided with this group of people. In a short while, these people were beaten up badly. Seeing that they were no match for him, the group of people quickly ran away. Lin Mo went forward and grabbed one of them. After interrogating him, he found out that it was Hu Zuixiang who had hired him. After getting an answer, Lin Mo asked this person to pass a message to Hu Zuixiang. He would not pursue the matter this time, but if she caused trouble in the future, he would not let her go. This person nodded like a chick pecking at rice and hurriedly agreed. Lin Mo kicked this person before letting him go. After venting his anger with punches and kicks, he felt much better. He continued to walk forward and prepared to return to the dormitory. However, he did not walk far before he was blocked again. However, this time, there was only one person, and his face was covered. Lin Mo wanted to complain. Did he think that he was filming a martial arts drama? He even covered his face. What a joke. You're here to cause trouble for me, aren't you? Who sent you? Wang Haoren, right? Lin Mo asked with a cold smile. The masked man wasn't sure at first, but after hearing the other party's words, he was sure that he had found the right target. He slowly walked towards Lin Mo. Lin Mo snorted coldly. He had just stretched his muscles and bones, but he wasn't satisfied yet. Now that there was another one, he could vent again. Compared to Hu Zuixiang, his hatred for Wang Haoren was deeper. Lin Mo still remembered the 2 incidents very clearly. He had caused trouble in the classroom and caused him to be unable to attend class, and had embarrassed him on the court. The people that Wang Haoren had found had to be taught a harsh lesson. With that thought in mind, Lin Mo rushed towards the masked man like a ferocious tiger. If it was said that Lin Mo had only used 50% of his strength to deal with the group of people earlier, then he was using his full strength now. Wang Haoren only sent one person. Presumably, this person's martial arts were very powerful. Lin Mo had to be more serious. However, it was just a little more serious. In Lin Mo's opinion, with his current martial arts, there was nothing to be afraid of even if he met a fist. Filled with confidence, Lin Mo dashed towards a masked man. The masked man tilted his body slightly and brushed past Lin Mo. Lin Mo felt a sharp pain in his neck. Then he fell to the ground and gradually lost consciousness. The second before he lost consciousness, Lin Mo was shocked and dumbfounded. The masked man's strength was beyond his imagination. Even a world boxing champion couldn't be this powerful, right? What the hell? Seeing that Lin Mo had fainted, the masked man took out a shiny scalpel. Ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing Lin Mo to lose his manhood completely. Obtained 2,000 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -100. Host villain aura +100. Wang Haoren happily accepted the reward that he had regained after losing it. Physical cutting. This should be enough, right? No matter how powerful Lin Mo's super teacher system was, it couldn't regenerate limbs. After all, this was within the realm of cultivation. Even Liu Chun, who had ancient medical skills, couldn't do this. How could Lin Mo do it? Why are you in a daze? Yang Jingwan's shy and timid voice came from beside him. Wang Haoren came back to his senses and saw Yang Jingwan looking at him with sparkling eyes. She seemed to be urging him. In a female dormitory in Normal University, Guyuro was lying on the bed, tossing and turning. She couldn't fall asleep at all. A man's figure kept appearing in her mind. She wanted to get rid of this figure, so she kept telling herself that this guy had bullied her so much. How could she still miss him? However, it was useless. The more she tried to brainwash herself, the more the man's figure appeared in her mind. Guyuro decided not to sleep. She got up and started writing a script on her laptop. She had liked writing since she was young, and she majored in language and literature in university. Writing scripts was one of her hobbies. It was only when she was immersed in writing that she could isolate herself from the real world and not think about those troublesome things. Time flew by and a few hours passed. Guyuro was full of ideas and her writing was smooth. She finished writing a movie script that she had been working on recently. Then, she sent the script to the mailbox of a famous screenwriter named Lu Cine. The last time she sent her script to Beige Film and Television, they told her that they would buy her script at a high price. She naively believed them and was tricked into going to Beige Film and Television. She almost suffered a great loss. Guyuro had learned her lesson and started to recognize herself. Naturally, she didn't think that her script was brilliant. She didn't expect the script to be sold for money either. She just wanted to give it a try and sent the script to a famous screenwriter, hoping to get some guidance. After doing all this, Guyuro was so sleepy that she fell asleep immediately. She didn't have the energy to think about anything else. Early in the morning, the gentle sunlight shone on a quiet and secluded residential area. This neighborhood was a writer's village. The people who lived here were all writers, such as web writers, traditional writers, screenwriters, and so on. Yang Jingwan changed her career to writing instead of doing sales. She had achieved great success and was now a famous female writer. In order to make it easier for her to write, she left her home and moved to this neighborhood. Of course, the environment here was quiet and convenient for her to write was only one of the reasons. What Yang Jingwan valued most was that this place was close to Qingling University. It would only take about 15 minutes to drive here. Yang Jingwan had just moved here yesterday, and she couldn't wait to inform Wang Haoren. After Wang Haoren received the call, he naturally came to visit her. Chapter 528. Wang Haoren had class that day, so he naturally got up early. Yang Jingwan didn't want to get up. It wasn't because she was lazy, but because she was too tired. There's a breakfast restaurant in the neighborhood. You can go have breakfast. I won't be going with you, Yang Jingwan said lazily. Okay, I'll get going then. I'll come see you when I have time. Wang Haoran smiled and nodded. He then left the suite and went downstairs. He headed to the breakfast restaurant. Although it was an unfamiliar place, there were street signs along the way, so it was easy to recognize. A few minutes later, Wang Haoran arrived at the breakfast restaurant that Yang Jingwan mentioned. Half of the breakfast restaurant was occupied, but it was very quiet. No one was making a ruckus. Even when they were talking, they deliberately lowered their voices. After some people finished their breakfast, they took out their laptops and started typing on their keyboards. It seemed like they were writing something. Moreover, there were quite a few people who did this. Wang Haoran heard from Yang Jingwan that the people living in this neighborhood were mostly writers. So, it wasn't strange. Wang Haoran casually ordered something and found an empty seat to sit down. Not too far away from Wang Haoran, there was a woman who had just finished her breakfast and was playing with her laptop. This woman didn't have any makeup on. She was barefaced. Her skin was fair and her facial features were exquisite. Overall, she was quite good-looking. She could be rated 92 out of 100. At this moment, she was looking at the script that had just been delivered to her mailbox. One of the scripts that had been delivered in the wee hours of the morning attracted her attention. From her professional point of view, the script was very good. The characters and plot were all good. If it could be made into a movie, there was a high chance that it would become a big hit. She knew that if she didn't do her best, it would be very difficult for her to write a script like this. Judging from a sender's message, the sender indicated that she was a university girl who majored in language and literature. She wanted to ask for some advice. Obviously, the sender was a newbie in screenwriting. She hadn't even graduated from university. After coming to this conclusion, she couldn't help but feel a little jealous. How could newbie be so good? How could she endure this? After feeling depressed for a while, she wrote a message and replied to the sender via email. The gist of it was that he wanted to ask this girl out for a meeting. After editing the message, he immediately sent it out via email. After doing this, the barefaced woman closed her laptop and prepared to leave. As he stood up, his gaze shifted and caught sight of a man eating breakfast at the neighboring table. Just looking at the man's handsome side profile made her heart beat wildly, and her face blushed a little. After looking at it a few more times, he felt his heart sink. Ding! The host impersonated the male lead of the female channel and triggered the side plot of the female lead, Guyuro. The female supporting character, villain, Lu Cini, fell in love with the host at first sight. Favorability has increased to 50, adoration. Wang Haoran was in the middle of eating when he heard the sudden system message. He couldn't help but be at a loss. He glanced around and soon noticed that there was a beautiful woman with no makeup looking at him from the side. The beauty's gaze was caught, and she felt very guilty. Her face turned even redder. However, she really wanted to get to know this handsome guy. She suppressed the nervousness in her heart and said, "You don't look familiar. Why haven't I seen you before? You're new here, right? I don't live here." Wang Haoran did not understand the situation, so he replied coldly. Ding! The host impersonated the male lead of the female channel and triggered the side plot of the female lead, Guyuro. You have gained 100 villain points. Wang Haoran was stunned again. He had only replied coldly to Lu Cini, and this was considered triggering the side plot? After thinking for a while, he seemed to understand. The male lead of the female channel was very cold to other female characters except for the female lead. He only had eyes for the female lead. When other female characters approached him or tried to strike up a conversation, he would definitely respond with a cold attitude. To put it bluntly, he was the exclusive bootlicker of the female lead. He did not understand the situation just now and subconsciously responded coldly to Lu Cini. Naturally, this was considered triggering the side plot. As expected, Lu Cini should be Guyuro's love rival in the main plot. Of course, although she was a love rival, there was no competition at all. This was because Lu Cini's existence was completely to set off Guyuro. Lu Cini loved the male lead to death, but the male lead only liked Guyuro and did not care about Lu Cini at all. Lu Cini was jealous, so she targeted Guyuro. This was also why there was a villain label after Lu Cini's character description. It clearly meant that Lu Cini was currently a supporting female character. However, if she saw that the male lead, Wang Haoran, was close to Guyuro, her character would change from a supporting female character to a female villain. Wang Haoran guessed, and felt that he had guessed it correctly. If Lu Xinyi's character changed and became a female villain, she would start targeting Guyuro, and this would trigger the main plot from the side plot. By then, it would definitely be a melodramatic plot like the old lady's foot-binding cloth. After seeing Wang Haoran's attitude, Lu Xinyi was secretly shocked that this handsome man was so cold. However, she did not dismiss the idea of striking up a conversation with him. She maintained a friendly tone. "Hello, I'm Lu Xinyi. May I know how to address you?" "Get lost." Wang Haoran took on the role of the male lead of the female channel and spat out a word coldly. Ding. The host pretended to be the male lead of the female channel and promoted the side plot of the female lead, Guyuro. You have received 200 villain points. Wang Haoran received some villain points as he wished. You're too rude. Lu Xinyi's expression changed when she saw Wang Haoran's bad attitude and said weakly, "I don't like to talk to unfamiliar women. Get lost before I get angry." Wang Haoran continued to take on the role of the male lead of the female channel and said coldly, "Ding." The host pretended to be the male lead of the female channel and promoted the side plot of the female lead, Guyuro. You have received 300 villain points. Guyuro's protagonist aura -15. The host's villain aura +15. Another round of small gains. Wang Haoran was secretly amazed. The way he gained villain points was really interesting. What was even more amazing was that Lu Xinyi did not leave in a rage after being treated so harshly. Instead, she seemed to be more interested in him. Wang Haoran was speechless. Are the female characters in the female channel so susceptible to being cold and domineering? If this was a normal woman, no matter how handsome you are, if you asked me to get lost in front of my face twice, would I still give you a face? Even if I don't scold you, I'll turn around and leave. Who doesn't have a temper? However, Lu Xinyi really did not have a temper. Or more accurately, she did not have a temper in front of Wang Haoran, the fake male lead. I don't think I've offended you. Why are you treating me like this? Lu Xinyi asked carefully. Wang Haoran was silent for a while, because he did not know what to say. He could not ask her to get lost, could he? He had already said that twice. At this time, what should the cold and domineering male lead of the female channel do? Chapter 529. Wang Haoran racked his brain, organized his words, and said coldly to Lu Xinyi, I hate women. I hate creatures like women. Is there a problem? Ding. The host has advanced the storyline of the female lead, Guyuro. Obtained 200 villain points. Hearing Wang Haoran's words, Lu Xinyi was stunned. However, she could not believe that the handsome man in front of her had an abnormal sexual orientation. I'm sorry to disturb you, Lu Xinyi said apologetically. Then, she returned to the seat at the next table. She was afraid that she would annoy the handsome man. She opened her laptop and pretended to type, but her eyes kept secretly looking at him. The more she looked at him, the more she felt that he was handsome. He was the perfect Prince Charming. Ding! The favorability of the supporting female lead, Lu Xinyi, toward the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 60, admiration. Ding! The host has advanced the storyline of the female lead, Guyuro. Obtained 200 villain points. After receiving the notification, Wang Haoran was secretly amazed. The favorability of the supporting female lead in the female lead could actually increase after looking at him for a while. It was simply amazing. It would be great if the female lead in the male genre was as magical as this. However, Wang Haoran also knew that this was impossible. After all, he was a villain and not a protagonist. Without the help of the halo and other props from the system, he would not be able to encounter such a good thing. Wang Haoran quickly finished his food and walked out of the restaurant. Seeing this, Lu Xinyi quickly closed her laptop and kept it well. Then, she followed him closely with small steps. Not long after, she followed him to the parking lot in the neighborhood. A Pagani turned on its lights, and the door of the driver's seat opened automatically. Wang Haoran lowered his head and got into the car. Lu Xinyi's eyes widened. She recognized the logo of the Pagani. This was a sports car worth tens of millions. This man was not only impeccably handsome, he was also so rich. Ding. The favorability of the supporting female lead, Lucini, towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 70. Undying love. Ding. You have advanced the storyline of the female lead, Guyuro. You have gained 400 villain points. Guyuro's protagonist aura -20. You have gained villain aura +20. Wang Howren had just started the car when he received 2 more system prompts. This time, he wasn't as surprised as before. After the car started, Wang Howren did not leave immediately. Instead, he pondered for a moment. This Lucini was only a supporting female character. Her identity had not been changed to that of a villain. She was only in a side quest. As long as Lucini did not see her interacting with Guyuro, Lucini had no reason to be jealous of Guyuro and target her. Or to put it another way, Lucini did not have the opportunity to enter the main storyline, so she would not trigger Guyuro's main storyline. In other words, Guyuro's main storyline was shortened. After Wang Howren sorted out his thoughts, he didn't look at Lucini, who was peeking at him from not far away, and stepped on the accelerator. Pagani left, leaving Lucini, who was worried, in the same place. The moment Wang Howren entered the classroom, Lu Hua came up to him and laughed gloatingly. "Boss, I heard that Lin Mo was cut up and sent to the hospital last night." "Really? Is there such a thing?" Wang Howren pretended to be surprised. "It should be true. Someone saw with their own eyes that Lin Mo's place was bloody and flat. It must be gone." Lu Hua said. "Do many people know about this?" Wang Howren asked. "Not many. It hasn't spread yet." Lu Hua shook his head. "Then what are you waiting for? Quickly go to the forum and spread the news." Wang Howren gave him a look. Lu Hua was stunned for a moment, then nodded happily. "Okay, normal university." As she stayed up late last night, Guyuro woke up a little late. Fortunately, there were only 2 classes in the morning, and they would only start around 10 o'clock. Guyuro was not in a hurry. She got out of bed, turned on her laptop, and logged in her mailbox. There was a reply in her inbox. Guyuro was delighted. She clicked on it and found that it was a reply from the famous screenwriter, Lucini. After reading the content, Guyuro almost jumped up in excitement and almost hit her head on the ceiling. Guyuro was overjoyed. She quickly added Lucini's WeChat number in the reply. In a short while, Lucini agreed. Guyuro chatted with Lucini for a while. After finding out that they were in the same city, they agreed to meet in the afternoon to discuss the details. After the chat, Guyuro was happy for a while. The inspiration for her script came from her story with a certain someone. It was just that she had done some artistic embellishments. The entire script was about a gentle and arrogant girl taming a cold and aloof man into a little lamb. In fact, Guyuro hoped that the bad guy who always bullied her would treat her well. She was just reluctant to admit it. Guyuro opened the photo album on her phone and flipped through it. Soon, she found some photos. The angle of these photos was mostly the side of a person's face and back. It was obvious that she had taken these photos. The person in the photos was Wang Howren. Guyuro flipped through the photos. After looking at them for a while, she was mesmerized. Speaking of which, to a certain extent, she had to thank him for being able to write this script. However, he would definitely not accept her gratitude, would he? Moreover, it would be difficult for her to say it. In the hospital, Lin Mo lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling with a look of hopelessness. If such a thing happened to any man, no one would be able to accept it. After staring at the ceiling for a long time, he suddenly heard footsteps. Lin Mo was too lazy to look, but the footsteps were getting closer and closer. They seemed to be walking toward the bed. Soon, a valiant and beautiful woman appeared in Lin Mo's vision. Usually, beautiful women would not have any sense of beauty when looking up at them from an upward angle. However, this valiant woman was extremely beautiful even from the angle of looking up. One could only imagine how beautiful she was. This woman was definitely the kind of beauty that had no blind spots at all. Lin Mo subconsciously became excited, but this emotion only lasted for a short moment. In his current condition, he was not in the mood to admire beautiful women. Even if a beautiful woman stood in front of him and asked him to do whatever he wanted, he would be powerless. He glanced at the woman's uniform. She was obviously from the police station. Behind the woman were two of her colleagues. "Hello, Mr. Lin. We are here to understand the case." The valiant and beautiful woman took out her identification card. Lin and Mo looked at the identification card and knew the woman's name, Ling Duanya. Lin and Mo was not in the mood to talk, but when he heard that it was about the case, he perked up and started to cooperate with them. During the recording, Lin and Mo insisted that the person who had done this to him was Wang Haoren. Ling Duanya was stunned when she heard the name. She thought it was someone with the same name, but after asking for more details, she realized it was the Wang Haoren she knew. Ling Duanya frowned slightly and defended Wang Haoren. "I know this person. He is a man with a strong sense of justice. Is there a misunderstanding?" After hearing this, Ling Duanya's two colleagues nodded in agreement. They also knew a little about the complaint call. How could someone who dared to fight against evil be a bad person? There must be a misunderstanding. Chapter 530. When Lin and Mo saw the reaction of Ling Duanya and the others, he was stunned for a while before he retorted. "This person is so evil. Does he have a sense of justice?" "Bah!" Ling Duanya and the others frowned. However, due to professional reasons, they could not argue with Lin and Mo. "You seem to have something unpleasant with this Wang Haoren. Tell us about it," Ling Duanya said calmly. Lin and Mo briefly described his conflict with Wang Haoren. Ling Duanya and the others listened while taking notes. They secretly felt that it was a little funny. This was because they all felt that Lin and Mo had exaggerated Wang Haoren's motive. Some conflict in class and the incident on the basketball court were not enough for Wang Haoren to do that. If Lin and Mo had only been beaten up, they could suspect Wang Haoren. However, Lin and Mo had been, of course, Ling Duanya and the others wouldn't say it out loud without any evidence. Ling Duanya asked about the characteristics of the person who had attacked Lin and Mo. Lin and Mo could only describe the person's figure. Moreover, this kind of figure was very common. One could easily find a bunch of them on the streets. How could they catch the person with such vague information? However, other than that, Lin and Mo could not say anything else. Of course, it was late at night. The street lights were dim, and the person's face was covered. It was impossible to see the person clearly from afar. When the two of them got close, Lin and Mo was subdued in an instant. He did not even have time to take a good look at the person. Ling Duanya and the others had no choice but to search for evidence at the scene Lin and Mo mentioned. They also checked the nearby surveillance cameras. Following the temporary departure of Ling Duanya and the others, the room became quiet again. But not long after, this silence was broken again. It was unknown where Hu Zuixiang heard the news, but she actually came here. Hey, what happened? Why are you suddenly in the hospital?" Hu Zuixiang asked sarcastically. Lin and Mo turned his head away, ignoring her. "I know even if you don't tell me." Hu Zuixiang giggled. "You'd rather be a eunuch than be with me? Are you satisfied now? You've really become a eunuch." His voice was so piercing that it almost pierced through Lin Mo's heart. Ding! The host manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 1,200 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -60, and the host's villain aura +60. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 1,200 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -60, and the host's villain aura +60. You were the one who hired him. Lin and Mo turned his head and glared at Hu Zuixiang. Who am I looking for? What are you talking about? Hu Zuixiang looked innocent. You ugly freak. So it was you who did this. Just you wait. Lin and Mo spat. Hearing the word ugly freak, Hu Zuixiang was furious. Shut up, you damned eunuch. You're not a man anymore. If I were you, I'd just die. Staying in this world is a waste of food. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 1,200 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -60, and the host's villain aura +60. Lin and Mo was so angry that his whole body trembled, which affected his wound. He sucked in a few deep breaths of cold air, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. However, Hu Zuixiang did not stop there. She continued to curse, and the angle of her attack revolved around the word eunuch. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 600 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -30, and the host's villain aura +30. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 700 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -35, and the host's villain aura +35. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 800 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -40, and the host's villain aura +40. Ding! The host's manipulation indirectly damaged Lin Mo's mentality. The reward is 1,200 villain points. Lin Mo's protagonist aura -80, and the host's villain aura +80. Ding! Lin Mo's mentality has exploded. The super teacher system has been automatically unbound, and he has lost his protagonist status. Wang Haoran. This woman had a unique talent when it came to cursing. Lin Mo's pain subsided a little. He wanted to retort, but he could not win against Hu Zuixiang. Hu Zuixiang did not know how long she had been cursing. She only stopped when her voice was hoarse. At this time, Ling Duanya and the others, who had gone to collect evidence, returned. Lin Mo immediately asked about the situation, but the result was very disappointing. The murderer was very cautious and seemed to be a professional habitual offender. He did not leave any traces at all. Her, investigator, Lin Mo suddenly accused Hu Zuixiang. She might be the one who hired him. Ling Duanya and the others turned to look at Hu Zuixiang. I admit that I hired people to beat him up, but those people were beaten away by him. He's completely fine. I have nothing to do with the fact that he became a eunuch. Hu Zuixiang knew that she could not hide this matter if they investigated it, so she decided to tell them the truth. Ling Duanya immediately asked Hu Zuixiang to make a statement. Hu Zuixiang was very cooperative. She even took the opportunity to tell them that Lin Mo had abandoned her. Ling Duanya and the others were disgusted by Lin Mo when they heard that. They had sympathized with Lin Mo, but now it seemed that he deserved it. Of course, due to their professional ethics, they would only think about it in their hearts. They would definitely not say it out loud. Ling Duanya and the others left after making a statement. They would know whether Hu Zuixiang was telling the truth after investigating. However, from their professional point of view, Hu Zuixiang did not seem to be lying. Lin Mo, being a eunuch, had nothing to do with Hu Zuixiang. Moreover, even if she had something to do with it, they would have to find the murderer first to verify it. However, the murderer did not leave any traces behind. How could they find him? There was a high chance that this case would become an unsolved case. However, they would have to investigate it. Ling Duanya and the others went to work. Hu Zuixiang had vented her anger after making fun of Lin Mo, so she left as well. Lin Mo was left alone in the ward again. Lin Mo sobbed for a while. Then, he suddenly thought of something. A glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. Previously, he had lost the ability to be a man because of his weak body. He had recovered his ability by consuming the recognition points. Then, would the system be able to turn him from a eunuch into a man? With this hope, Lin Mo was slightly excited and started to communicate with the system. However, no matter how hard he tried to communicate with it, the system did not respond at all. Lin Mo started to panic. He hoped that the system was temporarily dormant. That was why there was no response. After a while, Lin Mo tried to communicate with the system again. However, there was still no response. Lin Mo's face turned ashen. Chapter 531. Wang Haoran, who was in class, checked the series of system notifications he had just received. He was both surprised and astonished. He had only asked Lu Hua to spread the news that Lin Mo was a eunuch. Why did Lin Mo lose his cool? Wasn't his mentality too weak? Or had he been hit by someone? Even so, he was still too weak. Thinking back to when Lu Chan had suffered such a blow, it didn't take long for him to recover and even get over it. Lin Mo was a far cry from Lu Chan. However, on second thought, Wang Haoran was relieved. Anyway, He had planned to solve this problem completely before Lin and Mo left Qingling. However, because Lin and Mo was seriously injured and would not leave Qingling for a while, Wang Howren was not in a hurry. Now that Lin and Mo was dead, it saved him a lot of trouble. Moreover, Lin Maoyang had provided him with a lot of rewards. This was an unexpected surprise. At the normal university, after the fourth period in the morning, Gu Yuro had a quick meal. After that, she did not take a break and left the school immediately. She hailed a taxi at the school gate and headed to the meeting place with Lu Sini. Just as Gu Yuro's taxi drove off, Xiao Wanwan, who was following behind, also hailed a taxi by the roadside and followed. Xiao Wanwan had checked Gu Yuro's class schedule to keep an eye on her. When Gu Yuro was in class, Xiao Wanwan did not need to keep an eye on her. However, Xiao Wanwan would keep an eye on Gu Yuro during her free time. Xiao Wanwan and Gu Yuro had just finished their meal in the same canteen. When Xiao Wanwan saw that Gu Yuro did not return to her dormitory but headed out of the school, she followed her. When she saw where Gu Yuro was heading, Xiao Wanwan followed her. Gu Yuro took the taxi and arrived at a cafe. She found a seat and sat down. She ordered a cup of coffee and waited. There was still some time before the meeting time with Lu Sini. Gu Yuro placed too much importance on this matter, so she came here early. She sent a message to Lu Sini to tell her that she had arrived and attached her seat number. While waiting, Gu Yuro was a little bored, so she took out her phone and fiddled with it. Inadvertently, she opened the photo album on her phone and started to look at the photos. These photos were of Wang Howren. When Gu Yuro was playing with her phone out of boredom, she would check it from time to time. As she watched, she couldn't help but become infatuated. Time passed quietly. Lu Sini also rushed to the cafe. According to the seat number that Gu Yuro had given her, she saw a girl sitting alone. She walked to Gu Yuro's side and was about to greet her. However, her eyes inadvertently caught a glimpse of a familiar handsome side profile on Gu Yuro's phone screen. Wasn't that him? Lu Sini immediately recognized it. At that time, she sat beside Wang Howren and looked at Wang Howren's side profile. She was more familiar with Wang Howren's side profile than his face. Gu Yuro's attention was on her phone, and she did not notice Lu Sini's arrival. Lu Sini did not say anything immediately. Instead, she observed Gu Yuro's expression and started to suspect if she had anything to do with the handsome man she liked. A feeling of displeasure rose in his heart. Gu Yuro was looking at the photos when she suddenly saw someone from the corner of her eye. She tilted her head to look. "Hello, are you the screenwriter, Lu Sini?" Gu Yuro quickly put down her phone and asked politely. "Yes." Lu Sini looked indifferent and nodded her head. "I've finally met you. You look better than the photos online," Gu Yuro complimented. Lu Sini forced a smile. She did not feel happy because of this sentence. She was beautiful, but this Gu Yuro was even more beautiful. She was so beautiful that she was jealous. Lu Sini sat down in front of Gu Yuro and could not help but ask, "I saw that you were engrossed in the photos just now. Is the man in the photos your boyfriend?" Hearing this, Gu Yuro was a little embarrassed. She wanted to explain and say, "No." However, Lu Sini's misunderstanding made her feel inexplicably happy. She swallowed her words of explanation. Lu Sini saw that Gu Yuro did not answer and took it as a yes. The jealousy in her heart burned fiercely. She had come to see Gu Yuro with the intention of helping this newbie scriptwriter. However, now, she had dismissed this idea. After sorting out her thoughts, Lu Sini asked, "Did you write all the screenplays on your own?" "Yes, I wrote all the screenplays on my own." Gu Yuro sat upright and still as she replied. Then, she asked carefully, "In your opinion, what do you think of the standard of this script?" "Bad, it's very bad. Whether it's the character design, the plot, or the writing, it's all a mess." Lu Sini belittled her mercilessly. "Forgive me for being blunt, but you're really not suitable to be a screenwriter. Don't write anymore in the future." Gu Yuro could not help but blush when she heard such sharp words. However, she did not agree with Lu Sini's words completely. She was indeed a beginner, but she had a strong foundation in literature. Moreover, she majored in language and literature. Not to mention the character design and the plot, there was absolutely no problem with her writing. Moreover, her writing had been praised and affirmed by the professor of the language and literature department. Gu Yuro felt that Lu Cini was nitpicking and even deliberately insulting her. Screenwriter Lu, if you don't like what I've written, you don't have to ask me out to meet you. Do you just want to mock me in my face? Gu Yuro said unhappily. It's your honor to be mocked by me. Do you think any Tom, Dick, or Harry is worthy of my criticism? Lu Cini snorted. These words were even more piercing, and Gu Yuro was immediately unhappy. She stood up from her seat and said, "It's pointless to talk to each other. Since we're not on the same page, then forgive me for disturbing you. I really didn't expect the famous and beautiful screenwriter Lu Cini to be such a person." With some indifference, Gu Yuro turned around to pay the bill and leave after saying this. A greenhorn screenwriter actually dared to speak to her like this? Lu Cini was very angry. Coupled with jealousy, she was about to explode. She picked up a glass of water on the table and splashed it on Gu Yuro's face before she turned around. The cold water splashed on Gu Yuro's face and flowed down her face and neck, wetting part of her clothes. This is to teach you to be polite when talking to your senior. Lu Cini stood on the moral high ground and reprimanded her. Gu Yuro did not dare to offend Lu Cini. After being splashed with water, she clenched her fists but did not dare to vent her anger. She felt extremely wronged. She could only watch helplessly as Lu Cini left with her head held high. Chapter 532. Gu Yuro stood there feeling wronged for a while. Then, she quietly took a few pieces of tissue paper from the table, wiped the water off her face, paid the bill, and left. Xiao Wanwan, who was not far away, saw all of this. She took out her phone, found a familiar number, and dialed it. After a few rings, the call went through. However, when Xiao Wanwan thought of something that happened previously, she had a strange feeling in her heart. After a few seconds of silence, she reported, "Sir, Gu Yuro's face was splashed with water by a woman just now." Hearing this, Wang Haoran could not help but suspect that Gu Yuro, the troublemaker, had met the female villain again. "What did the woman look like?" "I just took some photos. I'll send them to you." Xiao Wanwan maintained the call and sent the photos over through WeChat. After Wang Haoran received the photos, he checked them and immediately recognized that the woman who splashed water on Gu Yuro was Lu Cini, who had hit on him. He could not help but feel a little depressed. He was not with Gu Yuro. Why did Lu Cini have a conflict with Gu Yuro? What did Gu Yuro, the troublemaker, do? "Sir, what do you need me to do?" Xiao Wanwan saw that Wang Haoran did not answer after a long time, so she took the initiative to ask, "Isn't it just a splash of water? It's nothing. Don't bother about her. Just continue to watch Gu Yuro's movements," Wang Haoran said, just as he finished speaking. Ding. This action of the host means that the host has given up on impersonating the male lead. All the villain points and halo points that the host has received for impersonating the male lead will be removed. Wang Haoran had the urge to curse. However, after thinking about it, this was normal. The male lead of female show was bullied, and he did not do anything. Could he still be called a male lead? Of course not. According to the plot, the male lead should help Gu Yuro get back at her. In other words, he could not ignore this matter, unless he was willing to give up the rewards that he had received. After thinking about it, Wang Haoran changed his words. "You don't have to do anything. I'll handle it myself." "Old master, do you mean that you want to stand up for Gu Yuro personally?" Xiao Wanwan asked carefully. "Yes," Wang Haoran replied. Ding. Host caused the female lead, Xiao Wanwan, to become jealous. Reward, 600 villain points. The sudden notification made Wang Haoran stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. "That's right, it's only been a few days since my incident with Xiao Wanwan." If he told Xiao Wanwan that he wanted to stand up for another woman, how could she not be jealous? "Ancestor, I understand. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now." Xiao Wanwan's voice clearly carried some disappointment. "Wait a minute." Wang Haoran stopped her. "Wanwan, I asked you to keep an eye on Gu Yuro for quite some time. It's been hard on you." His voice was extremely gentle, completely unlike the tone of an old devil who killed without batting an eyelid. "I don't dare to say it's hard work for you, Ancestor," Xiao Wanwan replied solemnly. "Don't be so reserved." Wang Haoran smiled. "Are you feeling better?" "What do you mean by feeling better?" Xiao Wanwan did not understand. That day, Wang Haoran reminded her. Xiao Wanwan immediately understood and said shyly and embarrassedly, I've already taken some medicine to reduce the swelling and pain. I'm fine now. That's good. I had no choice. Wanwan, you won't blame me, right? Wang Haoran asked. Ancestor, you were saving my life. How would I dare to blame you? Xiao Wanwan said fearfully. Although that's what I said, I can't pretend that nothing happened, Wang Haoran hinted. Ancestor, what do you mean? Xiao Wanwan had some guesses, but did not dare to think about it. So she asked tentatively. What I mean is that in the future, you don't have to be so reserved and don't treat yourself as a subordinate when you're not talking about business. Do you understand? Wang Haoran said tactfully. Xiao Wanwan seemed to have understood something and was secretly delighted. She quickly said, I understand. All right, that's all for now. I'll visit you when I'm free, Wang Haoran said. All right. You know where I live. If you want to come, you can come anytime. Xiao Wanwan hurriedly finished her sentence and hung up the phone. She only felt her face burning. Subconsciously, she touched her cheeks and realized that they were burning hot. Xiao Wanwan took a while to calm the joy in her heart. Then, she paid the bill and left, preparing to continue watching Guyuro. Since the ancestor thought so highly of her, of course, she had to perform well and not disappoint him. Xiao Wanwan had never felt this motivated since she accepted the task of watching Guyuro's movements. In the evening, Wang Haoran drove to Yang Jingwan's neighborhood. He parked his car in a parking space in the neighborhood and looked around. The reason he came here was not just to look for Yang Jingwan, but also to look for Lu Sini. Lu Sini had taken the initiative to strike up a conversation with him at the breakfast hall. Wang Haoran still remembered Lu Sini's first sentence clearly. From that sentence, Wang Haoran could tell that Lu Sini lived in this neighborhood. Otherwise, she would not have said that she had never seen him before. This neighborhood had all kinds of facilities, but there were not many people living here. Wang Haoran activated his X-ray vision, and there was a high possibility that he could find Lu Sini. Of course, the premise was that Lu Sini was here. However, it was already evening. Even if Lu Sini had something to do, she should be back by now, right? Wang Haoran stood at the spot where the car was parked and looked around. In a building not far away, Lu Sini was typing on the computer, but she was a little absent-minded. Now that it was almost time for dinner, she decided not to write. She opened the window and wanted to get some fresh air before going for dinner. She looked downstairs through the window and inadvertently looked at the place where the man she liked this morning had parked his Pagani. Surprisingly, he saw his figure. He was looking around, but she did not know what he was looking for. However, this was not important. Lu Sini hurriedly put on her shoes and went downstairs. When she approached Wang Haoran, she slowed down. Hey, we meet again. What a coincidence. Lu Sini pretended to meet him by chance and greeted him in a friendly manner. You're looking around. Are you looking for someone? I know most of the people in this neighborhood. Tell me who you're looking for, and I might be able to help you. Wang Haoran looked around for a while, but could not find anyone. Lu Sini's appearance saved him some trouble. I'm here to look for you, Wang Haoran said to Lu Sini straightforwardly. Chapter 533. You're looking for me? Lu Sini thought she had misheard and looked at Wang Haoran in shock. Let's find a place to talk, Wang Haoran said calmly. When Lu Sini heard this, she was finally sure that she hadn't misheard. She quickly replied, My house is very close. Let's talk at my place. Wang Haoran just wanted to find a quiet place to talk to Lu Sini. He didn't limit the exact location. After hearing Lu Sini's words, he nodded at her. This way, please. Lu Sini was very confused about Wang Haoran's motive for looking for her, but she was more than happy. After all, she could spend some time alone with him. Plus, they were going to her own house. Could she take the opportunity to show off? Along the way, Lu Sini thought to herself. Not long after, the two entered a building and took the elevator to a suite on the 6th floor. This is my house. Lu Sini smiled at Wang Haoran and went to open the door. Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes and looked at the neighboring suite. Yang Jingwan also lived on this floor, right next to Lu Sini's. What a coincidence. Fortunately, Yang Jingwan was concentrating on writing in her room. Otherwise, it would be a little awkward if Yang Jingwan bumped into him. Please come in. While Wang Haoran was thinking, Lu Xini opened the door and made an inviting gesture. Wang Haoran walked into the room expressionlessly. Lu Xini followed him in and closed the door behind her. Wang Haoran glanced indifferently at this action, but he didn't find it strange. Usually, no one would leave the door open in a suite like this. It was normal to close the door. This suite was quite big and the decoration was a little luxurious. Lu Xini invited Wang Haoran to sit on the sofa. Then, she poured a glass of water and placed it on the coffee table in front of Wang Haoran. Then, Lu Xini took off her jacket, revealing the tight, light-colored singlet that accentuated her exaggerated curves. Wang Haoran's eyebrows twitched slightly. They had just met today and could be considered strangers, but this Lu Xini really didn't treat him as an outsider. "What do you want to talk to me about?" Lu Xini asked with a smile. "You splashed water on a girl named Gu Yuro's face at the cafe today. Is that true?" Wang Haoran asked directly. The smile on Lu Xini's face slowly disappeared as jealousy rose in her heart. She had already vaguely guessed that the handsome guy in front of her was probably here for this. "Yes, she was disrespectful to me, so I taught her a lesson." Lu Xini did not deny it. "Are you your boyfriend?" Wang Haoran did not answer this question. He pretended to be cold and said, "Go and apologize to Gu Yuro." Ding! The host has advanced the main plot of the female lead, Gu Yuro. You have gained 200 villain points. Lu Xini was upset when she heard this. She was even more displeased with Gu Yuro, but she did not get angry at Wang Haoran. She forced a smile and said, "Sure, no problem." She pretended to agree and suddenly asked, "Oh yes, I still don't know your name. How should I address you?" Would the cold and domineering male lead of the female lead answer such a question from the female lead? Of course not. Wang Haoran avoided the question and continued to pretend to be aloof. "I know you're just brushing me off, but listen carefully. If you don't apologize to Gu Yuro when the sun sets tomorrow, I will teach you a lesson." As soon as he said this, Wang Haoran felt very uncomfortable. If it wasn't for the villain points, he would not care about the life and death of Gu Yuro, the troublemaker. As the male lead of the female lead, his job was to clean up the mess of the female lead until the end. Ding! The host has advanced the main plot of the female lead, Gu Yuro. You have gained 200 villain points. Wang Haoran felt better when he received the message from the system. "How am I brushing you off? I will definitely apologize to Gu Yuro," Lu Xini said flatteringly. Wang Haoran was silent for a few seconds when he heard this. The system did not respond at all. Obviously, Lu Xini had pretended to agree and would continue to target Gu Yuro in the future. As for himself, he would have to solve Gu Yuro's problems continuously. Wang Haoran felt a headache just thinking about it. The thought of poisoning Lu Xini to death arose in his heart. If that was the case, everything would be over. However, the impact of doing so would be a little big. If it was not done cleanly, it would attract trouble. Moreover, there was no need to go overboard. Wang Haoran dismissed this thought. He got up from the sofa and prepared to leave. He would have dinner with Yang Jingwan before deciding how to deal with Lu Xini. "Are you leaving? Since you're already here, why don't you stay for a while longer?" Lu Xini shamelessly asked him to stay. Wang Haoran glanced at her and said coldly, "No." Then, he turned and walked away. "Let me send you off." "Aya," Lu Xini said hurriedly, but before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly exclaimed. Her leg was hooked on the coffee table, causing her to lose her balance and fall forward. Wang Haoran subconsciously put his arm around Lu Xini's slender waist so that her face would not come into close contact with the ground. Ding! The female villain Lu Xini's favorability towards the host has increased by 10 points. Current favorability is 80, unchanging affection. Ding! The host has advanced the main plot of the female lead, Gu Yuro. You have gained 200 villain points. This was the main plot. What was going to happen next? Wang Haoran was secretly surprised. He lowered his gaze and looked at Lu Xini, who was in his arms. He saw Lu Xini looking at him affectionately and taking the initiative to hug him. As the male lead of the female lead, he would definitely fling Lu Xini away and warn her when he encountered such a situation. "Woman, don't be delusional. I'm not interested in you." Wang Haoran could totally guess this routine. However, Wang Haoran suddenly did not want to follow this routine. Although he could gain some villain points by following the way the male lead or the female lead did things, however, there were too few villains. He might as well take the opportunity to get rid of Lu Xini and completely in the main plot of Lu Xini targeting Gu Yuro. Wouldn't that be better? Anyway, he hated conventional plots and was more than happy to not play by the rules. What do you mean by this? Wang Haoran asked Lu Xini coldly. Although Gu Yuro is pretty, I'm not much worse than her. Why are you so cold to me? You don't even want to be friends with me? Lu Xini asked sadly. Why don't you just say that you want to be my girlfriend? Wang Haoran asked with a faint smile. Lu Xini was embarrassed when her thoughts were exposed. However, she still forced herself to say, I do have this idea. So what? What kind of relationship experience do you have in the past? Wang Haoran asked. No, don't think that I am a casual person just because I took the initiative. I have never been in a relationship before. You're the first guy I have liked. Lu Xini blushed and expressed her feelings. I don't believe. Wang Haoran looked deeply at Lu Xini. Unless you prove it to me. Chapter 534. Ding. The host did not follow the routine of the male lead in the female channel and captured the female villain Lu Xini for the first time. Villain points minus 800. Ding. The female villain Lu Xini's favorability towards the host has increased by 20. Current favorability is 100, life and death together. 2 system messages came one after the other. Wang Haoran was dumbfounded by the first system message. He did not follow the routine and even reduced the villain points. This was the first time he had encountered something like this. However, he was comforted by the fact that Lu Xini's favorability towards him was full. It seemed like today was the first day he met Lu Xini. Without using the charm halo, he managed to fill up Lu Xini's favorability towards him. This speed was amazing. However, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was only natural. Lu Xini's character was set as such. He was supposed to love Gu Yuro, the male lead in the main storyline. This did not make any sense at all. However, Lu Xini's plot against Gu Yuro was not over yet. This matter was not over yet. After thinking for a while, Wang Haoran suddenly said to Lu Xini, Gu Yuro is actually my younger sister. Actually, Gu Yuro is my younger sister, not my girlfriend. Really? Lu Xini was delighted, but she reacted quickly. You don't have the same surname. How could she be your sister? We reorganized our family, Wang Haoran said. Oh, Lu Xini replied, and then understood. However, I think that Gu Yuro has some strange thoughts about you, Lu Xini said. Why do you think so? Wang Haoran was puzzled. I met Gu Yuro today and saw her staring at your photo in a daze. I am sure that the look in her eyes is not just for you, Lu Xini said seriously. No matter what she thinks, I only treat her as my sister. Don't think too much. Wang Haoran said, don't target Gu Yuro in the future. Otherwise, if she is bullied and complains to me, I will be embarrassed to not help her since we are family. I know. I won't find trouble with her in the future. Lu Xini nodded obediently and took the initiative to say, I'll ask her out tomorrow and apologize to her. Ding. You have successfully enlightened the female villain Lu Xini against the female protagonist Gu Yuro. You have obtained 2,200 villain points, minus 110 protagonist aura for Gu Yuro, and plus 110 villain aura for host. Wang Haoran happily accepted the reward. The villain points that he had lost because he didn't play by the rules had not only returned, but he had also earned some. More importantly, he had ended a part of Gu Yuro's main storyline. In total, they had already gotten rid of 2 female villains who targeted Gu Yuro and 1 male villain who wanted to be the male lead after Gu Yuro. Let's have dinner together, Wang Haoran said. No, you go ahead and eat. I'm too lazy to move. I want to have a good rest, Lu Xini said weakly. Wang Haoran had known that Lu Xini would react this way. He had asked that question on purpose. All right, I'll have dinner first. After dinner, I have something to do. I'll come and visit you another day, Wang Haoran said seriously. Wang Haoran was serious about this. Since Yang Jingwan was staying here, he could visit Lu Xini along with Yang Jingwan. It wouldn't take up much time. After all, Lu Xini didn't lie to him. She was very honest. She was really a blank piece of paper before this. All right. Lu Xinyi nodded and smiled lazily. After leaving Lu Xinyi's suite, Wang Haoren went to another room on the same floor and pressed the doorbell. After the doorbell rang a few times, Yang Jingwan ran over to open the door. Why are you here? Yang Jingwan was surprised and happy. The two of them had just met yesterday. According to the past, she thought that Wang Haoren would come to see her at least a week later. She didn't expect him to come again today. Of course, I'm here to visit you. Why else would I be here? Wang Haoren smiled and pinched Yang Jingwan's nose gently. Lu Xinyi was resting. She wouldn't expose him anyway. Wang Haoren told this lie confidently and confidently. Yang Jingwan was overjoyed and excited for a while. After chatting for a while, the two of them went to the restaurant downstairs for dinner. The next morning, Wang Haoren left the neighborhood early. He didn't go to the restaurant for breakfast. Instead, he went to the normal university. He parked his car by the roadside and made a call to Gu Yuro. I'm waiting for you at the entrance of your school. I want to see you in 5 minutes. After the call was connected, Wang Haoren hung up without waiting for Gu Yuro's response. Yes, this was very impolite. However, as the cold and domineering male lead of the female channel, this was a very normal thing to do. After Wang Haoren hung up the phone, he turned on the timer and started the countdown. At 4 minutes and 50 seconds, Gu Yuro appeared in front of him, out of breath. Gu Yuro's hair was slightly messy. She had obviously just woken up and didn't have time to tidy herself up before she rushed over. Wang Haoren saw Gu Yuro appear on time and didn't find it strange at all. After all, Gu Yuro's character was very good at being cold and domineering. Although she was stubborn, she was very honest in her actions. I've helped you teach Lu Xinyi a lesson. Wang Haoren put on the signature cold face of the male lead of the female channel. Gu Yuro didn't react at first. She was stunned for a while before she understood. First, she wondered how Wang Haoren knew that she was bullied by Lu Xinyi. However, before she could think about this question, it was overshadowed by another kind of ecstasy. This guy looked fierce to her on the surface, but she didn't know that he cared about her so much. He actually taught Lu Xinyi a lesson. Ding! The favorability of the female lead of the female channel, Gu Yuro, has increased by 5. Current favorability is 65, admiration. Ding! The host pretended to be the male lead of the female channel and promoted the main plot of the female lead, Gu Yuro. You have gained 900 villain points. Gu Yuro's protagonist aura minus 45. The host's villain aura plus 45. Woman, don't think too much. I just feel sorry for you. I'm not interested in you. Wang Haoren saw the joy on Gu Yuro's face. He quickly took on the role of the male lead of the female channel and made a cold statement. He had no choice. If he didn't act according to this plan, he might lose the villain points again. He had to pretend. Don't worry, I won't thank you. Gu Yuro snorted proudly. Wang Haoren secretly gritted his teeth. If it wasn't for the limitation of Gu Yuro's protagonist aura, he would definitely teach her a lesson. He would let this self-righteous female lead know the power of a supervillain in the male channel. Oh yes, in terms of identity, I'm your brother. We are a reorganized family. Remember not to expose us, Wang Haoren reminded her. Although Lu Xinyi's matter was settled, he still had to let Gu Yuro know in order to be sure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have specially come to look for Gu Yuro. Brother? You're not necessarily older than me, right? Gu Yuro asked in surprise. Wang Haoren naturally knew this. Gu Yuro was in her second year, while he was in his first year. Gu Yuro might be a year older than him. However, this wasn't the main point. Don't talk nonsense with me. If I say I'm your brother, then I'm your brother. After saying this, Wang Haoren couldn't be bothered to talk to her anymore. He went directly into the Pagani beside him. The roar of the engine was heard, and the Pagani soon disappeared from Gu Yuro's sight. I'm your brother. Why are you so fierce? Gu Yuro muttered on the spot. However, she wasn't angry at all. Instead, she felt sweet. Chapter 535. Outside Qin Fan's mansion, there was no longer the usual scene of people checking in online, and the place looked a little deserted. Towards that, Qin Fan was naturally quite happy. At least when he went out, he did not have to hide anymore, and could just walk right out through the front door. Inside the mansion, Qin Fan sat on the sofa, scrolling through a short video. After scrolling through several tens of videos, the video of his own handiwork had disappeared. The popularity of that video had finally died down completely. Qin Fan was feeling a little happy, but also a little melancholy. The reason for his happiness was naturally because the video had been taken offline and he no longer had to be admired by so many people. And the reason for his melancholy was because his name was out there. Although the video was gone, but if he walked openly on the streets, he would still be recognized at a glance. If he wanted to go out, he could only wear a hat, sunglasses, or something like that to cover his face. The feeling of having to hide his head and show his tail was really not a good feeling. But from the current situation, there was no other way around it. Qin Fan was feeling a little frustrated, and he continued to scroll through the short videos, wanting to see the beautiful women wriggling about on the Douqi channel to soothe his mood. But after scrolling through the videos for quite a while, he did not see many beautiful women, but was instead pushed to a video of the battle between the Fire Country and the Gaoli Country's top chess players. The chess players on both sides were all 18 years old, and they were all geniuses in the game, unrivaled in their respective countries. The only difference was that the chess player on the Fire Country side was a youth, and the chess player on the Gaoli Country side was a young girl. The short video had pictures of the two chess players. When Qin Fan saw the young girl chess player from the Gaoli Country, his eyes immediately lit up, and a feeling of excitement rose within him. But that feeling did not last long before it was overshadowed by surprise. Because the picture of the young chess player on the Fire Country side had suddenly popped up. The face of the young chess player was just too familiar. Qin Fan's mouth could not help but curl up into a faint smile. "Mr. Qin, someone is looking for you outside." The butler suddenly came into the main hall to announce. Qin Fan turned his attention away from the video and asked, "Did the person say his name?" "He said his name is Jing Lu," the butler replied. Qin Fan's face lit up with joy. "Invite him in quickly." The butler nodded and left the main hall, and came back a moment later. Beside him, a bespectacled youth. "Master." Jing Lu was overjoyed when he saw Qin Fan. He walked up to Qin Fan and called out excitedly. Qin Fan smiled. "How did you know I was here?" The moment he asked this question, Qin Fan regretted it. Jing Lu said with a strange expression on his face, "I saw some news about Master on the internet." The atmosphere suddenly became somewhat awkward. Qin Fan's face twitched as he silently scolded himself for asking such a question out of the blue. Because of the craftsmanship video, Qin Fan's residence was exposed. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many internet celebrities checking in outside the mansion. Jing Lu naturally found out his address from the internet, so he came to look for him. To a certain extent, Qin Fan was already a celebrity that everyone in the world knew. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before his disciples, who were scattered all over the world, learned of his address and came to greet him one after another. Qin Fan thought to himself. His heart was both happy and bitter. The housekeeper went to make 2 cups of tea and then left the hall. Qin Fan and Jing Lu sat down. The latter was somewhat absent-minded. "You didn't just come to see me, right?" Qin Fan saw through Jing Lu's thoughts and said faintly after taking a sip of tea, "I really can't hide anything from Master." Jing Lu scratched his head and said, "I will have a duel with a chess player from Gaoli in a few days. This chess player is very good. I have no confidence at all. After I accidentally got the news from Master, I wanted to come and see Master and ask for advice." "Is this match very important?" Qin Fan asked. "Of course." Jing Lu nodded solemnly. "The victory or defeat of the chess game is related to the honor of the Guo family. If I lose, my personal honor is small, but it will damage the prestige of the Guo family." Qin Fan nodded and asked, "You should have information about the match with the young girl, right?" Without knowing the other party, Qin Fan naturally wouldn't make any guarantees. "Of course I do." Jing Lu turned on a laptop he carried with him and clicked on the video of the young girl's match. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy to win 100 battles. If Jing Lu wanted to play with others, he naturally had to understand his opponent. In the laptop, There were at least a few hundred videos of the young girls' match. Qin Fan fast-forwarded and watched less than 10 games of chess. He already had a deep understanding of this young female chess player's way of playing chess. He was very sure that if he were to face this young girl, his chances of winning were close to 100%. "Master, are you not going to watch?" Jing Lu asked. "No need." Qin Fan shook his head. Jing Lu was delighted. "It seems that Master has already figured out the young girl's style. Then what do you think my chances of winning are? Have you made any progress in the past few years after you left the mountain?" Qin Fan didn't answer, but asked instead. Jing Lu was slightly embarrassed. "I've made some progress, but not much. I'm afraid you will lose more than you in this game." Qin Fan said. He was the one who taught Jing Lu how to play chess, so he naturally understood Jing Lu's style. After hearing Jing Lu's answer, he immediately made a judgment. Moreover, this judgment could be considered very tactful. If Qin Fan were to put it bluntly, it would be that Jing Lu had a 90% chance of winning against the Korean girl. Jing Lu only had a 10% chance of winning. Hearing Qin Fan's words, Jing Lu was disheartened. In fact, he had a rough idea in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hurriedly come to Qin Fan for help. "Master, then do you have a countermeasure?" Jing Lu asked for advice. "Yes, but the situation during a match is too big. You won't be able to grasp it in a short time. However, I will do my best to teach you. Learn as much as you can." Qin Fan said. "Thank you, Master." Jing Lu was slightly disappointed, but he still thanked him solemnly. Qin Fan patted him on the shoulder. "Don't be discouraged. In chess, other than talent, you also need to rely on accumulation. You have enough talent. The rest is a matter of accumulation. If I'm not wrong, that young girl must have been in contact with chess since she was sensible. She must have played for more than 10 years. And you, taking everything into account, have only been in contact with chess for less than 5 years. To have achieved this much, you should be proud of yourself. Even if you lose, it will be a glorious loss." Qin Fan consoled him sincerely. From what he saw, even if Jing Lu lost, it wouldn't be a big deal. The so-called damage to the Guo family's honor was too severe. If the Korean girl won against Jing Lu, would that mean she had suppressed all the Yin country's chess players? Where would that put Qin Fan? In Qin Fan's heart, he had already started to plan his next move after Jing Lu lost. After calculating for a while, the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled up into an excited arc. Chapter 536. After Wang Haoran bade farewell to Guyuro, he did not go too far, but contacted Xiao Wanwan, who lived nearby, and had breakfast with her. After that, he drove back to Qinling University. There was still some time before the first class, and some of the students in the classroom were gathered together to discuss something. They even seemed to be in full swing. Wang Haoran listened for a while and found out that they were talking about the battle between the top chess players from Yin country and Gali country. But Wang Haoran was not very interested in it. But after eavesdropping for a while, he heard the boys talking about how the young female chess player from Gali country was super beautiful and could be the face of Gali country's top girl group. Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. It was not that he was lustful, but he suspected that the young female chess player could be one of the female leads. There was a high possibility that she was the female lead in Qin Fan's plot. Wang Haoran had checked Qin Fan's background and knew that among his 99 godly skills, chess was one of them. Now that such a super beautiful young female chess player had suddenly appeared, he could not help but suspect that she was related to Qin Fan. She could even be Qin Fan's disciple? The thought popped up in Wang Haoran's mind, but he immediately shook his head, thinking that the possibility was not high. Comparatively speaking, the possibility of a young chess player from Yin country being Qin Fan's disciple was higher. The students in the classroom were chatting when a debate broke out. The reason was because they were more optimistic about who would win the game. Some of the boys who were more concerned about looks hoped that the young female chess player from Gali country would win. Most of them were more concerned about the pride of the Guo family and hoped that the Yin country chess player would win. Hence, the debate broke out between the two sides. "Great Zhao Zhao, come here." Wang Haoran saw Mu Zhao Zhao participating in the discussion and called out to her. Hearing the voice, Mu Zhao Zhao walked over and asked suspiciously, "What did you call me?" "Mu Zhao Zhao." Wang Haoran said seriously. Mu Zhaozhao replied with an "oh." She felt that she might have misheard. I heard that you were talking about the chess match. How much do you know about the female chess player from Gali? Wang Haoran asked. Aren't you being too shallow? Are you also supporting that young female Go player? Mu Zhaozhao said with a sidelong glance. Of course not. I will definitely support the Yin country's chess player. I was just curious about that young female Go player, so I asked casually. Wang Haoran said. That young female chess player is called Jiang Yun. She's 18 years old and looks very pretty. But you know, how many of the beautiful girls in Gali aren't artificial? Mu Zhaozhao winked, then showed a bright smile and showed off. Unlike her, her entire body is natural. Wang Haoran smiled, and his eyes subconsciously stared at Mu Zhaozhao's most outstanding part. What are you looking at? It's true. If you don't believe me, you can ask Sister Yunhan. We grew up together, and she knows best. She is the best witness. Mu Zhaozhao caught the strange look in Wang Haoran's eyes and immediately defended herself. Wang Haoran naturally did not doubt that. After all, he had unintentionally played with her before. He could naturally distinguish between the real and the fake. However, as for what Mu Zhaozhao said, that Jiang Yun was a man-made beauty, he was not convinced. This Jiang Yun was most likely the female lead. Since she was the female lead, she must be completely natural. Even if it was a common occurrence for Gali girls to use knives on their faces, it was still not enough to kill everyone. There must still be natural beauties among them. The Gali country is really shameless, saying that Go originated from their country. Go originated from our Yin country. All right. Mu Zhaozhao said indignantly. I hope that the Yin country's chess player, Jing Lu, wins. If Jiang Yun wins, it won't be good. The media from their country will surely make an issue out of it, saying that Go originated from their country, and, as the loser, they will have no right to speak. After all, Jing Lu is the Yin country's #1 chess player. If Jing Lu loses, who will be a match for Jiang Yun? Mu Zhaozhao sighed, looking like she was worried about the country and its people. Wang Haoran could not help but find it funny when he heard that. Jing Lu might lose, but the Yin country would definitely not lose. Because on the Yin country's side, there was Qin Fan. If Jing Lu loses, Qin Fan can go up. This match between the Yin country and Gali country's top chess players was just a stage set up for Qin Fan to show off. At that time, the situation would be like this. After Jiang Yun won against Jing Lu, it caused a huge uproar. The Yin country was ridiculed, and Qin Fan stepped forward to challenge Jiang Yun. Under the watchful eyes of countless people, Qin Fan won against Jiang Yun. In this way, Qin Fan would be able to gain endless glory. The joke of showing off his skills would be completely overshadowed by all the glory, another way to whitewash his reputation. At that time, Qin Fan would be able to strut around the streets, and no one would laugh at him, and they would even look at him in a different light. After all, showing off his skills was not something that was too evil. It was just being exposed to the public, and it would only add to the ridicule. At that time, Qin Fan would become a famous person. Tantai Yao Yu, Mu Nanji, Song Zhihui, and the other female disciples would all change their views of Qin Fan and look at him in a different light. And there might even be a terrifying thing that would happen. Jiang Yun, who lost the game, would develop feelings of admiration, and with a little development, she might fall in love with Qin Fan. Tisk, Wang Haoran thought about the following scenarios based on the current situation and immediately cursed under his breath. He had spent so much effort and finally managed to make Qin Fan hide his head and show his tail, not daring to openly go out to pick up girls. If Qin Fan were to turn the tables because of this, then all his previous plans would have been for naught. He must not allow Qin Fan to act like this, or it would be a big problem. If he wanted Qin Fan to not be able to go up on the field, he would have to let Jing Lu win. But, according to the plan, Jing Lu's level was not as high as Jiang Yun's, and under normal circumstances, he would not be able to win. Then think of a way to make Jiang Yun unable to participate in the game. Should he secretly kill her before the game started? As long as Jiang Yun was unable to go up on the field, Jing Lu would win without a fight, and Qin Fan would not have a chance to go up on the field. In that case, Qin Fan would not be able to turn the tables. But the momentum of this game was too great. On the eve of the game, if anything happened to Jiang Yin, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. At that time, all kinds of capable people would come out to investigate the matter. If they found out that it was him, wouldn't that be terrible? Moreover, Jiang Yin was the female lead, and she was so beautiful. She was the only female lead who was not from Fire Country. It was said that the girls from Galley Country had a different kind of charm. Don't. What was the saying in Galley Country? If Jiang Yin died, it would be a pity. Then what should he do? Let Jiang Yin give up on the game, or go easy on her during the game. But why should Jiang Yin listen to him? Because he was handsome. Chapter 537. Hey, why are you in a daze? Mu Zhaozhao waved her hand in front of Wang Haoren's eyes when she saw that he was deep in thought. Wang Haoren came back to his senses and asked Mu Zhaozhao, "Do you know where the game will be held?" "It's at Qingling Gymnasium," Mu Zhaozhao replied. "Good Lord, the stage to show off is right under Qin Fan's nose." Wang Haoren complained in his heart and asked again, "Has Jiang Yin arrived at Qingling Gymnasium? Where's she staying?" "I don't know, but I don't think she's here yet. If she's here, there will be news." "Those reporters have the best noses." Mu Zhaozhao looked at Wang Haoren suspiciously and said, "Why are you asking so many questions? Are you interested in Jiang Yin?" Wang Haoren did not avert his gaze. He looked straight at Mu Zhaozhao and said, Yes, I want to hit on her." "Tisk, stop joking. Do you think you're so great just because you're handsome? Do you think you can hit on any girl?" Mu Zhaozhao didn't believe Wang Haoren's reaction. "That's it." Wang Haoren shrugged. "I can't get a girl like her. I'd rather go after you. At least it's easier, right? Watch your mouth. I'll tell Sister Yunhan about you." Mu Zhaozhao wrinkled her nose at Wang Haoren. She was a little fierce, but she was secretly happy. At this moment, the bell rang. The students stopped talking and returned to their seats. Mu Zhaozhao sat next to Wang Haoren. Wan Jing, who had just entered the classroom, also sat next to them. On the other side, after Qin Fan finished chatting with Jing Lu, he began to give Jing Lu targeted guidance. Jing Lu was so immersed in it that he didn't even feel like eating. Qin Fan didn't force him. He just sat in the car and left. He arrived at the Jinhao Hotel before 11 a.m. The reason why he came so early was naturally because Qin Fan did it on purpose. When it was close to 12 o'clock, it was the peak time to eat. Qin Fan went out in a secretive manner, afraid that he would be recognized. Naturally, he wanted to take advantage of the fact that there were fewer people to quickly fill his stomach and return to the mansion. However, when they arrived at the entrance of the hotel, they found a group of reporters waiting for them. Qin Fan subconsciously felt that these reporters wanted to take pictures of him, so he lowered the brim of his cap. However, he quickly realized that this seemed a little ridiculous. This was because the reporters' uniforms had the name of the unit they worked for. They were all reporters from regular television stations and major online media outlets. How could the TV station report such a trivial matter? Moreover, the limelight had already passed. Clearly, these people were not here for him. They were here for the others. Qin Fan was a little curious. What kind of famous person was coming? Just as this thought popped up in his mind, he saw a group of cars driving over from not far away and stopping not far from the entrance of the hotel. The reporters and the staff, carrying cameras, all swarmed over like a swarm of bees. Some bodyguards hurriedly got out of some of the cars and surrounded one of the commercial cars to maintain order. The door of the commercial car slowly opened. A beautiful young girl walked out of it. The reporters scrambled to be the first to interview her. One after another, they fought fiercely. When a young girl saw this scene, she seemed to be frightened and timidly took a few steps back. A middle-aged woman quickly stepped forward to protect the young girl. She briefly answered the reporters' questions and then led the young girl into the hotel under the protection of some bodyguards. Qin Fan watched for not far away. He had roughly heard the reporter's interview. He knew that this beautiful young girl was Jiang Yin, who was going to play chess with Jing Lu. Qin Fan blinked his eyes and looked at Jiang Yin through the gaps of the crowd. The more he looked, the happier he became. This Jiang Yun was even prettier in person than in the photos. Compared to his disciples, Song Zhihui and Mu Nanji were not inferior at all. However, it was not easy to say who was better. It can only be said that plum blossoms, orchid blossoms, bamboo blossoms, and chrysanthemum blossoms each had their own advantages. Song Zhihui and Mu Nanji each had their own outstanding aspects, and so did Jiang Yun. However, looking at Jiang Yun's timid appearance, as if she was afraid of meeting strangers, she looked a little like a little rabbit, which made people have a strong desire to protect her. Qin Fan watched Jiang Yun leave his field of vision before he retracted his gaze reluctantly. He did not follow her and continued to admire her, because he knew that there would be a time when he and Jiang Yun would sit face to face. Jing Lu had almost no chance of winning against Jiang Yun. After losing, it was necessary for him to compete with Jiang Yun in chess. When that time came, he would be able to look at her face to face. Why be in a hurry? Of course, it would be even better if he could get to know her in advance. In the afternoon, Wang Haoren, who had been eating, had been paying attention to the news on the internet. As expected, he received news about Jiang Yun. Jiang Yun was currently staying at Jinhao Hotel. Jinhao Hotel again? Wang Haoren was a little speechless. The two female protagonists, Song Zhihui and Mu Nanji, came to Qingling and stayed at Jinhao Hotel. Now that Jiang Yun came to Qingling, she was also staying at this hotel. So this Jinhao Hotel was a special place for female protagonists who came from other places to stay. In short, it was to let Qin Fan meet the female protagonist. Wang Haoren secretly complained for a while, but he was not worried that Jiang Yun would have any interaction with Qin Fan for the time being. The craftsmanship storm had not completely dissipated, and Qin Fan was still a rat on the street. He did not dare to appear in front of people openly. What right did he have to hit on Jiang Yun? Only after Jing Lu lost would Qin Fan have a chance to have some interaction with Jiang Yun. However, Wang Haoren would not sit back and watch this happen. She skipped the afternoon class and skipped it. For Wang Haoren, the protagonist was the most important. The class was just a formality. As usual, he asked Liu to apply for leave for him. He drove away from Qingling University and rushed to Jinhao Hotel. On the way, he suddenly realized a problem. To put it bluntly, he went to Jinhao Hotel to show his face in front of Jiang Yun and see if he could trigger the Super Peach Blossom Halo. However, there was a big problem, and that was that Song Zhihui and Mu Nanji were both staying at Jinhao Hotel. What if he bumped into them? Could it be that if he bumped into someone, he would say that he was looking for that person? If he bumped into both of them, would he turn around and leave? Wang Haoren thought about it secretly. It seemed that there was no other choice other than this. Sighing, Wang Haoren began to think about how to persuade Song Zhihui and Mu Nanji to move out of the hotel. Otherwise, the female lead of Jinhao Hotel would be pushed down. If he was not careful, he might fail. Not long after, the Pagani arrived outside Jinhao Hotel. After parking the car, Wang Haoren walked into Jinhao Hotel and was about to ask the hotel staff where Jiang Yun was staying. However, as soon as he entered the hotel, he bumped into someone. Haoren! Qin Fan walked over with a smile. Wang Haoren thought to himself, what bad luck, but a friendly smile appeared on his face. Haha, what a coincidence. Chapter 538. It's not church today. You should have classes, right? Why are you here? Qin Fan asked Wang Haoren curiously. I do have classes, but I have a break at noon. I came here for some personal matters, Wang Haoren said vaguely. What personal matters? Qin Fan asked. Wang Haoren glanced at Qin Fan's expression. He seemed to be a little gossipy. He felt resentful in his heart, but on the surface, he put on an embarrassed smile and said, I came here to look for Nanji. I just fell in love, and I missed her after not seeing her for a day. Since I have time at noon, I want to see her. Hearing this, the smile on Qin Fan's face gradually stiffened. He felt sour in his heart. Ding. Host has damaged Qin Fan's mentality. Received 800 villain points. Qin Fan's protagonist aura -40. Host villain aura +40. You like to ask, you like to gossip. Do you still want to ask? Do you still want to gossip? Wang Haoran really wanted to point at Qin Fan's nose and ask him, but thinking that he couldn't fall out with Qin Fan, he restrained himself. If there's nothing else, I'll go find NG. Bye. Wang Haoran waved his hand and said goodbye. Qin Fan called out to him. By the way, Haoran, did you plead with your sister for me? Wang Haoran stopped and said seriously, Of course I did. My sister was in a good mood last night, so I told her about it. Who knew that I would be scolded by her? She even scolded me and told me to stay away from you and not to learn that kind of thing from you. At this point, Wang Haoran suddenly stopped talking. However, Qin Fan understood and was immediately embarrassed. Of course, I definitely won't listen to my sister. After all, you taught me how to find such a beautiful girlfriend. I can't thank you enough. How can I ignore you? Wang Haoran said with a sincere smile. Qin Fan had forgotten about this matter. Now that he suddenly heard Wang Haoran mention it, the bitterness in his heart couldn't be described with words. Ding! The host has damaged Qin Fan's mentality. The host has received 1,000 villain points. Qin Fan's protagonist aura -50, and the host's villain aura +50. I really did my best. You won't blame me, right? Wang Haoran asked Qin Fan. How could that be? Qin Fan shook his head. Although he felt that Wang Haoran didn't handle this matter well, he really couldn't be blamed. Tantai Yaoyu's self-awareness was very strong. How could she forgive herself just because of a few words from her brother? If there's a chance, please help me plead for leniency again. Qin Fan said again. Okay, no problem. Wang Haoran made a solemn vow. He waved his hand again and said, Then I'm leaving. Wait, it's not easy to meet you. Let me treat you to a cup of coffee. Let's go. Qin Fan said enthusiastically. Have a drink. Wang Haoran cursed inwardly. He had made it clear that he was here for Mu Nanji. Now that Qin Fan said he wanted to treat him to a cup of coffee, wasn't it obvious that he was deliberately disrupting his date with Mu Nanji? Although he wasn't here for Mu Nanji, Qin Fan's behavior was really a little disgusting. On the surface, he didn't scold him. Instead, he said awkwardly, I still have class in the afternoon, so I need to go back in time. I won't be drinking coffee with you. It's okay. You're not an outsider. You can ask Nanji to come with you. Qin Fan put his arm around Wang Haoran's shoulder and dragged him to the hotel's coffee shop. Wang Haoran followed him helplessly, but he secretly cursed a certain female relative in Qin Fan's house a few times. Qin Fan had made up his mind to be a third wheel, wasn't he? When they arrived at the coffee shop, Qin Fan found a table and sat down with Wang Haoran. Ask Nanji to come over. Wang Haoran pretended to nod. He took out his phone and pretended to send a message to Mu Nanji. In fact, he sent a message to Wen Jing and asked her to reply to him. He wasn't here to look for Mu Nanji. He was here to look for Jiang Yun-er. If he asked Mu Nanji to come over, it would only add to the trouble. Moreover, it would be even worse if Song Zhihui happened to see them. Song Zhihui was also Qin Fan's disciple. If she came over and found out that Mu Nanji was his girlfriend, what kind of expression would she have? Buzz. His phone vibrated when he received the message. Wang Haoran looked at it and saw that Wen Jing had sent a moi emoji. On the surface, he said to Qin Fan, Nanji said that she's not feeling well and wants to rest in her room. Oh, I see. That's really unfortunate. Qin Fan sighed. Wang Haoran clearly saw a hint of joy flash across Qin Fan's eyes. Qin Fan, this bastard, although he didn't target him because he was in a relationship with Mu Nanji, he was very jealous that he was on good terms with Mu Nanji. After all, he was the main character and the main character of the harem. He had a subconscious that all the super beauties are mine. It was no wonder that he would do such a thing. Fortunately, Wang Haoran wasn't here to look for Mu Nanji. Actually, he didn't really care about this. After Wang Haoran pretended to be disappointed for a moment, he didn't continue to pretend. At this moment, he realized that Qin Fan was staring at him without blinking. Is he going to tell me about my marriage again? Wang Haoran thought to himself and asked, Why are you looking at me like that? Haoran, you look handsome. You seem to have good luck with women again. Qin Fan said bitterly after looking deeply at Wang Haoran for a while. What was going on with this future brother-in-law of his? Why did he always have good luck with women? Why didn't he have good luck with women? Did you tell me about my marriage again? Where did I meet the beauty this time? Wang Haoran asked subconsciously. Using physiognomy too much will shorten one's lifespan. I usually only use it after a period of time. Qin Fan explained and continued. I just looked at your complexion and felt that there were such signs. I didn't calculate it carefully. Actually, it might not necessarily be good luck. I see. Wang Haoran nodded. However, you already had good luck with women the last time. You won't have good luck with women again so soon. Qin Fan's words were actually meant to comfort himself. After all, he had told Wang Haoran's fortune before and knew that Wang Haoran was fated to have good luck with women. It wasn't a strange thing to suddenly encounter a peach blossom. Nanji is a good girl. Since you're with her, you have to treat her well. Even if you really have good luck with women, you have to reject them. Otherwise, you'll be letting Nanji down. Qin Fan added. What nice way to put it. If you're with Nanji and meet other beautiful girls who throw themselves at you, I'm sure you'll welcome them. You still want to educate me? Bah! Wang Haoran secretly despised him. However, on the surface, he looked like a good boy and said seriously, Of course, I only like Nanji. I'm not interested in other girls at all. That's more like it. Qin Fan smiled and looked at Wang Haoran with a look that said, This child is worth teaching. However, as he looked at him, his gaze suddenly shifted slightly, and he looked elsewhere. He didn't know what he saw, but there was a covetous look in his eyes. Wang Haoran was a little puzzled. He turned his head and followed Qin Fan's gaze. Chapter 539. A group of people surrounded a young girl in a galley ancient costume and walked over. There were a total of 5 people in that group. 3 of them were dressed in suits and looked like bodyguards. The other was a middle-aged woman. He didn't know if she was an assistant or a manager, but that wasn't important. What was important was that the young girl in the galley ancient costume was really good-looking. As for her figure, it was a little hard to see clearly. The skirt of the ancient costume was almost dragging on the ground, covering all of her legs. The clothes on her upper body were also a little loose. This caused her figure to be a mystery. Of course, it was so for ordinary people. Wang Haoran, who had X-ray vision, wouldn't be restricted by such obstacles at all. As soon as he activated his X-ray vision, his vision became much clearer. In the next moment, Wang Haoran felt a rush of blood. There was no need to guess. This was definitely the female lead. Moreover, judging from her clothes and the style of this group of people, it was very likely that she was Jiang Yun'er. While Wang Haoran was sizing them up, the group of people was getting closer and closer. Looking at the path, it didn't seem like they were here to drink coffee. It seemed that they were going to pass through here and go somewhere else. After all, this was a coffee shop in the hotel. There were many entrances and exits. It wasn't strange for them to be let through. Jiang Yun'er, I love you. However, just as the group of people reached Qin Fan and Wang Haoran, a skinny man suddenly rushed out from the side. He shouted and pounced on the young girl. The 3 bodyguards quickly went forward to stop that person. At this moment, a man waiting on the other side opened his arms and hugged Jiang Yun'er. The middle-aged woman wanted to stop him, but she was knocked away. Jiang Yun'er lost her bodyguards and was about to be hugged tightly by that man. But right at this critical moment, Qin Fan made his move. He was sitting there perfectly fine, but in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Jiang Yun'er. Like a mountain, he blocked the man who pounced on Jiang Yun'er. Wang Haoran watched this scene silently. He had the urge to smash the coffee cup on the table to the ground. Damn it, where did those 2 idiots come from? This was clearly an opportunity for Qin Fan to save the damsel in distress. Moreover, those 3 bodyguards were also stupid enough. One of them could have stopped them, but the 3 of them went together, falling into the enemy's diversion tactic. Xiao Chun hated that he could not make a move and expose his strength. It was also inconvenient for him to intercept Qin Fan. He could only watch as Qin Fan acted like a hero, saving the damsel in distress before his eyes. Following Qin Fan's obstruction, the 3 bodyguards quickly reacted and restrained the 2 men who inexplicably wanted to hug Jiang Yun. After asking around, he found out that the 2 of them were Jiang Yun'er's die-hard fans. They were in cahoots to take advantage of Jiang Yun'er. The security guards of the hotel soon arrived and took the 2 men away. Jiang Yun was still in shock and her face was very pale. The middle-aged woman beside her comforted her in a low voice. After Jiang Yin-er's mood improved slightly, the middle-aged woman looked at Qin Fan and said gratefully, "Mister, thank you so much. If it weren't for your timely help, it would have been terrible." She spoke in a language of the Fire Country, but there was obviously some Galley Country accent, but it could still be understood. "It's a small matter." Qin Fan waved his hand and smiled, his eyes inadvertently glancing at Jiang Yun-er's face. Jiang Yun-er raised her head slightly, her timid eyes peeking at Qin Fan. Just as she was about to say something, another person suddenly appeared in her field of vision. It was Wang Haoran who took the initiative to walk to Qin Fan's side. Wang Haoran was still hoping that Jiang Yun-er would take the initiative to notice him. But this girl walked with her head lowered, not deliberately looking at the people around her. He had no choice but to take the initiative to walk over and show his face. 1 second. 2 seconds. Ding. Congratulations to the host Luck for meeting the female lead Jiang Yun-er for the first time. Super Peach Blossom Halo has triggered the first grade Pledge of Love effect. Ding. The female lead Jiang Yun-er's affection for the host has increased to 80. Unchanging feelings. Ding. The host has influenced the plot and gained 6,000 villain points. Qin Fan's protagonist Halo minus 300. The host's villain Halo plus 300. Wang Haoran almost wanted to jump onto the table and clap his hands in celebration. Qin Fan, this bastard, he really has something. He had said that he was lucky, and it had come true again. Wonderful. Your protagonist Halo is awesome. So what if you triggered the hero saving the damsel in distress plot? It's all in vain now. Wang Haoran suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and asked Jiang Yun, "You seem to be in shock. Are you all right?" Jiang Yun met Wang Haoran's gaze, and her face flushed red, her heart beating fast. Because of her nervousness, she replied in a trembling voice, "Thank you, I'm fine." Her pronunciation was perfect, the standard Yin language that couldn't be any more standard. If not for the clothes she was wearing, even if she said she was from the Yin country, no one would suspect her. Towards this point, Wang Haoran did not find it strange. This Jiang Yun-er was obviously the female lead in Qin Fan's main storyline. If she did not know the Yin language, how would she communicate with Qin Fan? Through hand gestures? Knowing the Yin language, that would be normal. "My name is Wang Haoran. Nice to meet you," Wang Haoran said, showing a handsome smile. Jiang Yun-er. Jiang Yun-er pursed her lips tightly and said her name. Ding. The host has damaged Qin Fan's mental state. Gained 1,800 villain points. Qin Fan's protagonist Halo minus 90. Host's villain Halo plus 90. Qin Fan at the side, his face darkened. "Beautiful lady, you must be mistaken. I saved you. You should be thanking me. Why are you thanking your future brother-in-law?" "Hello, I am Qin Fan." Qin Fan wanted to make his presence known, and he took the initiative to introduce himself. Jiang Yun-er glanced at him and nodded at him without saying a word, as if that action was her way of thanking him. Qin Fan was feeling rather gloomy. What is wrong with this beautiful lady? I saved her, and she didn't say thank you. More importantly, her attitude towards Wang Haoran was completely different. "Please, I am the one who saved you, all right? Why are you so friendly to others? Just because he is handsome?" There seemed to be no other reason other than this. Mu Nanji looked at faces, and so did Jiang Yun-er. Women are really superficial. Ding. The host has damaged Qin Fan's mental state. Gained 2,000 villain points. Qin Fan's protagonist Halo minus 100. Host villain Halo plus 100. I'm actually your fan. Can you give me your contact information? Of course, don't misunderstand. I don't mean anything else. I'm just very interested in playing chess, and I want to ask you for advice, Wang Haoran said to Jiang Yun-er. When Qin Fan heard this, he wanted to say that he also knew how to play chess and could teach Wang Haoran. However, he suddenly thought of something and shut his mouth. Sure. Jiang Yun answered very softly. Then, she took out her phone and exchanged numbers with Wang Haoran. The middle-aged woman was extremely surprised when she saw this scene. This was because Jiang Yun was very introverted and focused on playing chess. She never liked to interact with others. At this moment, her action of exchanging contact information with someone was really unbelievable. Chapter 540. When a middle-aged woman saw the scene, she started to speak in Korean. Wang Haoren did not understand a single word, but when he saw the expression on her face, he could guess that she probably had something important to attend to, and he urged Jiang Yin'er to leave. Jiang Yin'er nodded at the middle-aged woman and then waved goodbye to Wang Haoren. I have something to attend to and will be leaving first. Goodbye. Then I won't disturb you. Wang Haoren said with a smile. Jiang Yin'er saw it, and she was dazed for a moment as if she was mesmerized by Wang Haoren's smile. Ding. The host has damaged Qin Fan's mentality and gained 900 villain points. Qin Fan's main character, Halo -45. Host's villain Halo +45. Qin Fan saw it from the side, and he felt extremely jealous as he watched Jiang Yin'er leave. As Jiang Yin'er walked, she would occasionally turn her head back to look, and the focus of her vision was completely on Wang Haoren. Haoren, do you like her? After Jiang Yin'er and her group left, Qin Fan asked with a frown. Why would you think so? Wang Haoren pretended to be puzzled. You were smiling at her like that and staring straight at her. Qin Fan said, I was talking to her, and of course I had to look at her. It's a matter of manners. Wang Haoren said seriously, I just feel that Jiang Yin'er is very good at chess, and I want to make a simple friend with her. If you're interested in playing chess, I can teach you. Why do you have to go so far? Qin Fan said with an attentive look. Hearing those words, Wang Haoren secretly despised him. This Qin Fan obviously could not bear to see Jiang Yun throwing flirtatious glances at him, and was jealous. Do you know how to play chess? Although Wang Haoren knew it in his heart, but it was not convenient for him to show it on his face, and he looked at him suspiciously. To be honest, the young chess player from the Fire Country, Jing Lu, is actually my disciple. Qin Fan said proudly, wanting to gain the adoration of his future little brother-in-law. How could Wang Haoren not see through his thoughts? He despised him in his heart, but on the surface, he still cooperated and revealed a look of shock and admiration. Is that so? That's great. If there's a chance, I'll definitely ask for your guidance. Well said, well said. Qin Fan laughed heartily, thinking that Wang Haoren's admiration came from the bottom of his heart. After saying that, Qin Fan added, that Jiang Yin'er, you'd better not look for her. After all, she's from Korea. She's an enemy, so stay away from her. Besides, Nanji will definitely be angry if she finds out that you're too close to her. What the F***CK? Wasn't he trying to threaten me? You want me to stay away from Jiang Yin'er so that you can flirt with her? Wang Haoren secretly ridiculed him for a while, but he said, You're right, you're right. Qin Fan nodded his head in satisfaction and suddenly said seriously, Give me Jiang Yin'er's phone number. I have something I need to ask her about. F***CKU. Wang Haoren felt like scolding someone. Can this guy be any more obvious? Do you really think I'm an honest person who will believe everything you say? Or do you think I'm crazy? Aren't you obviously trying to get Jiang Yin'er's contact number and then contact her in private? Do you think I can't tell? Write it down, and I'll report it to you. Wang Haoren might despise him, but he still agreed on the surface. It's just Jiang Yin'er's contact number. If Qin Fan wants it, I'll just give it to him. It won't affect the big picture. The one who saved her earlier was Qin Fan. Jiang Yun might be a little friendly to him. But if Qin Fan wants to pursue Jiang Yin'er, he's definitely thinking too much. Jiang Yin'er's heart has already been stolen away. Qin Fan wants to pursue Jiang Yun. This is simply wishful thinking. You're dreaming. When Wang Haoren said Jiang Yun's number, Qin Fan took out his phone and wrote it down. He was afraid that Wang Haoren had reported it wrongly and even made a comparison. After making a comparison, Qin Fan realized that he was right. Instantly, a joyful smile appeared on his face. Sit. Let's continue drinking coffee, Qin Fan said happily. I still have to go back to school for lessons. I won't be drinking. Let's talk about it again next time. Wang Haoren really didn't want to face this idiot Qin Fan anymore, because if he stayed with Qin Fan for a while longer, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself and directly ask about Qin Fan's relatives. All right, next time then, Qin Fan answered straightforwardly. He seemed to be a little impatient. Wang Hao knew that this bastard Qin fan might be in a hurry to contact Jiang Yun-er. Afternoon. In a quiet room, Jiang Yun-er was training. Her opponent wasn't a human, but an AI artificial intelligence. In today's day-by-day technology, artificial intelligence could totally be used as a player for training. To a certain extent, AI training was even more effective than humans. To put it bluntly, Go was the ceiling of chess and card competitions. On the board of Go, after the first chess piece was placed, there would be many possibilities. And these possibilities weren't infinite. They could be calculated. AI could accumulate and learn countless games without sleep. When it was playing against a human player, through data analysis, it could determine what the human player would do next. This was quite terrifying. Jing Liu and Jiang Yun were more likely to lose than win against the top AI. However, AI was still AI. It wasn't in the category of humans. Although Jing Liu and Jiang Yun had lost to AI, it didn't affect their position as the top Go players in their respective families. Since the game was imminent, Jiang Yun seized the time to train. However, she was a little absent-minded in the afternoon. She was always absent-minded and made mistakes frequently. As a result, she was completely defeated by the ordinary AI. Buzz buzz, Jiang Yun's phone on the table beside her suddenly vibrated. It seemed like there was a message. A hint of joy suddenly appeared on her slightly melancholic face. In the past, when she was training, her phone was usually turned off so that she wouldn't be disturbed. But for some reason, she didn't turn off her phone during today's training. Jiang Yun heard the noise and quickly picked up the phone to check the message. But she found that it was from an unknown number. This unknown number had already sent several messages in a row. Jiang Yun couldn't be bothered to pay attention to it. She didn't even bother to read the content of the messages. She put the phone back down and took a deep breath, wanting to calm down and focus on her training. But after a few seconds, the phone vibrated again. Jiang Yun frowned and wanted to just turn off the phone. But when she saw the contact name displayed as Wang Hao, she immediately jumped for joy. "Are you busy now?" Jiang Yun looked at the content of the message and started to reply. She had to train and was actually very busy. How would she have the time to chat? But her fingers seemed to be out of her control as she typed 3 words in reply. "I'm not busy." After Wang Hao saw the message, he immediately started to chat with Jiang Yun. From the chat, Wang Hao learned that Jiang Yun was very interested in the culture of the Fire Country. Wang Hao didn't find that strange at all. Jiang Yun was confirmed to be the female lead in Qin Fan's main plot. According to the development of the main plot, after she got together with Qin Fan, she would probably not return to Korea and would choose to stay in the Fire Country. Jiang Yun liked the culture of the Fire Country, and it could be considered an opportunity for her to stay in the Fire Country safely. There are many scenic spots in Qingling. Among them, the Muwang Pavilion is the most famous. It's known as the #1 pavilion in the world. Shall I take you there? After chatting for a while and closing the distance between Jiang Yun and himself, Wang Hao revealed his true purpose. Chapter 541. Looking at the message on her phone, Jiang Yun hesitated. The competition was imminent, so she should train well. But since he had already said so, what if she didn't agree? Wouldn't he be very disappointed? Moreover, if she rejected him this time, he might not invite her next time. Moreover, she was absent-minded anyway, so she couldn't train well. She might as well go for a walk and relax. Jiang Yun struggled internally for a moment and quickly made a decision. She typed a message and replied, "Sure, where shall we meet? You're unfamiliar with the place, so I'd better come and pick you up," Wang Hao sent. "Sure, I'm at an AI training base near the Jinhao Hotel, but I don't know what it's called. Do you use WeChat? Let's add each other as friends. Send me your location. We don't use WeChat much over there. I'll download and apply for an account." Wait a moment. Jiang Yun fiddled with her phone and quickly settled it. After Wang Hao saw the location map, he also skipped class and drove to the destination to pick up Jiang Yun. However, after arriving, he waited for a while before Jiang Yun arrived. Jiang Yun changed out of her Korean clothes and put on a modern outfit, wearing sunglasses and a pink top hat. She seemed to be a little flustered. Wang Haoran guessed that she might have snuck out. Otherwise, she would definitely have bodyguards by her side. When they were chatting, Jiang Yun was not too reserved, but now that they were meeting, she was a little shy and even a little at a loss. On the way, Wang Haoran tried his best to find some very common topics to talk to her, such as introducing some local customs of the Fire Country, so that she would not be so nervous. After chatting for a while, Jiang Yun's nervousness gradually dissipated. However, Jiang Yun was still very quiet, and her conversation was always intermittent. However, that was not because Jiang Yun was unwilling to chat with Wang Haoran, but because she really did not know what to say. Wang Haoran briefly interacted with Jiang Yun and could tell. Jiang Yun was quite introverted. She was the kind of tech geek who rarely interacted with others. After some time, they arrived near the Mu King Pavilion. After parking the car by the roadside, Wang Haoran brought her to the Mu Wang Pavilion. The last time he came, he had only taken a look at the Mu King Pavilion from the outside and did not enter. Wang Haoran brought Jiang Yun there again. He decided to take her into the Mu King Pavilion for a tour. The two of them walked side by side. As they toured, Wang Haoran introduced the origin of the Mu King Pavilion to Jiang Yun. Jiang Yun listened quietly. From time to time, she would nod her head and respond to Wang Haoran. However, her beautiful eyes were fixed on Wang Haoran. There were some ripples in his eyes. Jiang Yun was wearing sunglasses and thought that Wang Haoran could not see it. In fact, Wang Haoran could see everything clearly with his X-ray vision. After strolling around the first floor for a while, he came to the stairs and prepared to go upstairs to take a look. Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. You're wearing high-soled shoes. You won't be able to walk steadily up the stairs. Let me hold your hand, okay? There was a questioning tone in his words. However, after Wang Haoran finished speaking, he did not wait for Jiang Yun to answer and directly held her hand. Most girls cared about their pride, especially introverted girls. They were even more reserved. There were some things that she could not express her opinion on. Once asked, she might say that she could walk without holding his hand out of shyness. Wang Haoran's action made Jiang Yun nervous, but she did not shake off Wang Haoran's hand. She even said in a low voice, "Thank you. You're welcome." Wang Haoran revealed a charming smile. Jiang Yun was in a daze for a while before she came back to her senses. Wang Haoran held Jiang Yun's hand and went up the stairs to the second floor of the Mu King Pavilion. After reaching the second floor, Wang Haoran pretended to forget to let go. Jiang Yun let him hold her hand and did not pull it back. Wang Haoran continued to lead Jiang Yun around the second floor. However, they did not walk far when they suddenly saw two familiar people in front of them. These two familiar people were none other than Song Zhihui and Feng Anna. Wang Haoran's heart skipped a beat. He wondered why Feng Anna had run out without asking for leave from him. However, now was not the time to dwell on this question. Wang Haoran's vision was far away. He saw Song Zhihui and Feng Anna, but they did not see him. Let's go over there and take a look, Wang Haoran said to Jiang Yun, and suddenly changed direction to avoid bumping into Song Zhihui and Feng Anna. After walking in another direction for a distance, Wang Haoran heaved a sigh of relief. Are you hiding from someone? Jiang Yun, who was beside him, suddenly asked. Wang Haoran was stunned. He did not deliberately hide his emotions just now and appeared to be a little flustered. Wang Haoran thought about it quickly and did not deny it. He said, I saw my parents just now. As he spoke, he touched his forehead with his hand as if he was wiping off cold sweat. So what if you saw your parents? There's no need to hide. Jiang Yun was a little puzzled. Then she noticed that the two of them were still holding hands. She asked cautiously, Do your parents not allow you to date girls? That's not it, Wang Haoran said. My parents might not like you very much. If they see us walking around Mu Wang Pavilion together, they might be angry. I've never met your parents before. Why don't they like me? Is it because I'm from Korea? Jiang Yun asked nervously. That's part of the reason. My parents know about the chess game between Fire Country and Korea. They don't like Korea saying that Go originated from there, and they don't have a good impression of you. Wang Haoran started to fool her. To put it bluntly, They are afraid that if you win, Fire Country will lose face. Jiang Yun did not say a word, looking thoughtful. After a moment, she suddenly asked, "Do you want me to win, or your Fire Country's chess player to win? Do you want to hear the truth, or a lie?" Wang Howren asked. "Of course the truth." Jiang Yun said, "The Fire Country's chess player wins." Wang Howren replied seriously. Jiang Yun nodded. "I can understand you. Actually, I'm not doing this because of the so-called pride of the Guo family. I just think that if you lose, I can be closer to you. If you win, my parents and friends will not like you." Wang Howren sighed. "But don't mind what I think. This kind of thing is based on ability. Whoever is better will win." When Jiang Yun heard that, a storm rose in her heart. Because Wang Howren's words contained information that made her so excited that she could not control herself. But before she heard the exact words, Jiang Yun tried her best to control her emotions and said timidly, "I don't know much about your Yin language, and I don't really understand what you meant. Can you explain it more clearly?" Chapter 542. Wang Howren looked into Jiang Yun's eyes and said affectionately, "What I mean is, I wanted to be friends with you the moment I saw you." Actually, Wang Howren wanted to be more straightforward, but he was afraid that he would scare this introverted and timid girl, so he used a more tactful word. But even so, Jiang Yun definitely understood what he meant. Because if they were ordinary friends, why would he hold her hand and not let go? Me too." Jiang Yun felt the same and whispered back to Wang Howren, "Are you serious? You're not lying to me?" Wang Howren asked in surprise. "If it wasn't true, I wouldn't let you." Jiang Yun lowered her head and gestured to the hand he was holding. She then said, "But don't think that I'm a casual person. Other than my family, you're the first boy to hold my hand." Wang Howren pretended to be excited for a while, but soon his face turned gloomy and he slowly let go of Jiang Yun's hand. Jiang Yun suddenly felt a little lost, and then she seemed to have understood. "I was too impulsive. I shouldn't have said this to you. Let's talk about these private matters after your competition." Wang Howren sighed. Jiang Yun nodded with mixed feelings. Wang Howren continued to walk with Jiang Yun. At the same time, he used his X-ray vision to observe Song Zhihui and Feng Anna's movements to avoid bumping into them. During this time, Wang Howren was well-behaved. He even deliberately kept a distance when they walked side by side. Jiang Yun clearly felt that there was an additional distance between the two of them. However, she was introverted and did not take the initiative to break this situation. However, her heart was like a bottle of mixed feelings. It was extremely complicated. Wang Howren did not seem to be staring at Jiang Yun but in fact, he was secretly paying attention to the changes in Jiang Yun's expression. The reason why he said that just now was to deliberately guide Jiang Yun's thoughts and give Jiang Yun two choices. If Jiang Yun won, then it might be difficult for the two of them to be together in the future, and the people around them would oppose it. But if Jiang Yun lost, then everything would be easy to talk about. But to be honest, if there were onlookers on Jiang Yun's side, they would definitely think that Wang Howren had ulterior motives, because he was making use of the fact that Jiang Yun loved him deeply and wanted Jiang Yun to let him win in the competition. However, Jiang Yun was not scheming, and she was blinded by love. She did not see through Wang Howren's clumsy wording, let alone see through him. Wang Howren felt that he was quite shameless. But looking at the final result, it actually didn't affect anything. It was impossible for Jiang Yun to crush the Yin country's chess players beneath her feet. She might be able to win against Jing Liu, but she would never be able to win against Qin Fan. Jiang Yun was destined to lose. After walking around for a while, Wang Howren offered to send Jiang Yun back. On the way, he found an excuse to borrow Jiang Yun's phone and blocked Qin Fan's number. Although he was certain that Qin Fan would not be able to seduce Jiang Yun, but Wang Howren did not want Qin Fan to disturb Jiang Yun. Anyway, anything that made the protagonist unhappy, Wang Howren would feel good. In the mansion, Qin Fan was sparring with Jing Liu as he stared at his phone. He had sent several messages to Jiang Yun, but Jiang Yun did not reply. Qin Fan could only think that Jiang Yun was training and did not reply. But when it was almost dinner time, there was still no news. Even if she was training, she still needed to eat. Qin Fan could not hold back his thoughts and stopped sending messages, but made a call. But the line was always busy. At first, Qin Fan thought it was Jiang Yun on making the call. But after a while, he called a few more times and found that the line was still busy. Qin Fan suddenly guessed that his number might have been blocked by Jiang Yun. He suddenly felt depressed. "Master, you don't seem to be in a good mood. What's wrong?" Jing Lu asked curiously. Children shouldn't ask too much. Qin Fan avoided answering. Jing Lu tactfully shut up and talked about the problem he was concerned about. "Master, it's very difficult for me to surpass Jiang Yun in overall strength in a short time. Do you want to teach me some strange moves? Maybe I can catch Jiang Yun off guard and win the competition. If you win, how can I perform? How can I become famous in the world and clear my name?" Qin Fan thought to himself, but he did not show it on his face. "These strange moves are too complicated. You won't be able to learn them in a short time. Just train as usual." In fact, Qin Fan did have some strange moves that Jing Lu did not know, and he had a way to learn them quickly. If he taught Jing Lu's chances of winning would be higher. But Qin Fan was afraid that something would go wrong, so he would not teach him. Because if Jing Lu won, then all of his plans would be ruined. Jing Lu could not see through Qin Fan's thoughts, and he respected Qin Fan, so he did not doubt his words and only thought that what he said was true. When the sky turned dark, Wang Haoren returned to the villa. After dinner, he sat in the hall for a while before returning to his bedroom. Song Zhihui suddenly called. "I asked Anna to go shopping at Muwang Pavilion today," Song Zhihui said over the phone. Wang Haoren heard that and asked subconsciously, "Did you tell Feng Anna about our relationship? Are you a roundworm in my stomach? How'd you guess that?" Song Zhihui said in surprise. Wang Haoren suddenly understood. No wonder Feng Anna was so bold that she did not ask for leave from him. It turned out that she had Song Zhihui's support. Seeing that Wang Haoren did not say anything, Song Zhihui continued. "Why aren't you saying anything? Are you angry?" "I'm sorry. I did say that I wouldn't tell anyone about our relationship, but Anna is different. She's my best friend. She won't tell anyone about it. Don't worry." Wang Haoren could not be bothered to dwell on this question. Instead, he asked, "Are you still staying at Jinhao Hotel?" "Yes, but I've been thinking about buying a house in Qingling recently. Do you have any recommendations?" Song Zhihui said, "I'll help you find out where there are good houses. I'll tell you when the time comes." Wang Haoren took the initiative to take over. He had to take over this matter. If he let Song Zhihui find one herself, what if she bought a house near his villa? "Okay, let me know when you find one. Money is not a problem," Song Zhihui said generously. "Rich little lady, you're really rich," Wang Haoren teased. "Of course, so you don't have to worry at all. I'm with you because I like your family's money," Song Zhihui said with a laugh. "Then what do you like about me?" Wang Haoren asked with a smile. "It's fate. Anyway, I just find you very pleasing to the eye. I really like you." Song Zhihui was very lively. Plus, she did not feel shy talking about this topic over the phone. "What about you? What do you like about me?" "Your long legs," Wang Haoren said subconsciously. "Is that all? I have a lot of good points. Haven't you noticed?" Song Zhihui said bitterly. "I haven't noticed it now. Maybe I'll notice it when we have more in-depth communication in the future," Wang Haoren said seriously. Song Zhihui's thoughts went astray when she heard that. But when she heard Wang Haoren's serious tone and his shy personality, she guessed that he did not mean it that way. But after she figured it out, she could not help but feel a little disappointed. This guy is not enlightened. What should I do?